So he said
Sure.
he'd give you a piece of paper.
Let
and
me
you
show
just-
you.
I pulled up the map from the survey, so I downloaded it, so it'll be up on the screen, so hopefully
Yeah.
that'll help you.
Fair enough. Want to get a marker? Draw on the screen then,
Well, I mean,
how you want to do it?
dry erase.
Yeah, there you go. That'll work for me. Big whiteboard. Why not? They said there's absolutely no easement on five. So I have to turn our curves to, so that has to be okay. So what's that?
Should I have a pledge of allegiance?
Absolutely.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dwayne, can you just briefly explain to us what you explained for your vision for what we're going to do out there, what you want to do out there?
Well, yeah,
I
I'll
see.
tell you one more time. Our plan is
Can you
that-
please step up?
It just does, you know.
I know.
Okay.
Speaker.
All right. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Is it on?
got this recorded, so we need.
Is it on?
Yes.
It ain't on.
So people on the internet can hear.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So anyway, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna build a bar and grill out there. You know, with some fun stuff. That's what we're doing. I mean, we've looked at all kinds of different ideas, what we're actually gonna try to do there. And I mean, depends on what costs the most and what don't. That's what we're gonna buy and do. I mean, I know that's pretty vague for you guys right now, but I don't, like I said before, I don't really want to tell you everything I'm doing there.
How many people are you gonna try to employ?
From what I understand, is around 35. You gotta have everybody, you gotta have employees to run every little aspect, everything that's gonna go on there.
Right.
Any of the fun rides, any of the stuff. Without telling you too much, we just spent a weekend up in Salt Lake. I don't know how many times you've went up there to their boondocks. You've been there. Check that out. What an amazing, good place. So, I mean, if you can wrap your mind around that, that's kind of what we're trying. You know, and it's going to be it should be a lot of fun. Not to mention you'll be able to sit there and eat, you know, have a beer. You know, we're trying to put some stuff outside that hasn't been here in a long time. You know, I mean, we want to try to make it all family oriented. We are going to try to put in a buck and bull. You know, I mean, I've done enough talking around. They actually have a buck and bull circuit. So we're going to try to, you know, because you got to get people to come to your place. You know, and I don't know if you guys are aware, but you know, there's Tony's Pizza just closed down in Lander. You know, there's one more that's going to actually go ahead and close over there. So the restaurant business is extremely, you know, hard to get into right now and make a success out of. So in order to make that work, you got to have other things that's going on, you know, and so we're trying to, you know, incorporate certain things, you know, like we talked about the putt golf, you know, we actually talked about a little water slide there because the way the ground falls, a guy could do some stuff, you know. I mean, it's what I do. I'm in construction. It's what I do, you know. I mean, and when I get it all set and ready to go and we can go out there and survey things off, start measuring stuff off where things can fit, what it's going to do, we'll be able to get a blueprint on it. And that's going to go to several revisions before it ever comes in here for you to actually put your eyes on it.
You know, one of the things that just sort of correct me if I'm wrong, have we been doing through all the legal stuff that we need to do to sell you land? Interest rates has.
Yeah, they've
approximately
doubled. They've doubled. My payments were going to be $1,600 a month. Now they're going to be $37. They're going to go to 6.7% interest on the loan. and it was going to be at 3.2. So yes, that has definitely made a huge impact.
So that may affect somewhat.
Well, it's
what you
definitely going
do.
to slow us down on the build because I'm not going to go in at 6.7% interest.
Would it,
But as of today, things are, I don't know if you've seen it, but gasoline fell huge today. Lumber prices are dropping,
you know,
so things are going way down. So we'll just see.
would it be fair to say that you plan to start construction within a year?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, dude, as soon as I get the land,
Yeah.
we're going to start every phase of anything we can do to get going. And I'm going to use what money I personally got to go ahead and get the concrete in, probably put in the water. And like I said, I'm trying to actually get you guys to go in on letting me put a sewer main up that road myself. I'll put it in myself. And then we can put it into a lift station, which will then you can pump uphill into your main. And then by doing that, every lot that would be on the other side of the road would have a main line to tie into. I mean, it's a huge benefit for you guys.
Would
No
you-
cost to the city. It's,
Would
you
you
know.
say it would be reasonable to say that you would be up and running within 2 years?
I would say that I'm hoping to have it sooner than that, but if you give me the
Sure.
2 years, you bet.
I'm just
I
thinking
think
if
I can
it-
make all that work. And then I believe that interest rates will go down. And I do believe that the
Right.
farther I go along with the project, the more the bank and the two investors I got looking at helping me out will actually, once they see what's really going on, I believe that they'll refinance me, help me out, and we'll get it finished. I'm almost positive of it.
So you wouldn't have any problems if we put stipulations on the contract reflecting what we're just talking about, that if, within 12 months you.
Well, what I
start-
don't want, Joel, is, say the bottom does fall out of the world and I'm bound into some contract. Like I said, everything that we're talking about right now today, whatever's going to go on, I did seek legal counsel on all this. I'm telling you that now. So I won't sign a paper, or do anything with you until my lawyer wants to look at all the paperwork.
Sure.
And I just feel that's just good business. I mean, we're fixing to, we're looking at spending $1.5 million is what we're looking at spending. That's a lot of money here.
Mhm.
Okay. And to build this deal and get this all built, it's going to take it pretty close to what that is. And
I believe that.
My end is,
I believe that.
so like I said, I got to have a leg to stand on. If you cut them off, I'm
Sure.
digging the dirt. So that's just,
Sure.
and I was just on the phone out in the truck with him when you guys pulled up. That's why, and that's who I was talking to. And he's the one that advised me to come in here and hear what you got to say. And, so like I say, I'm not doing this all by myself. I'm just kind of the guy that can be here. I'm the guy that's going to own it. I'm the guy that's going to run it, but I got other people that are, they're going to invest in this. So, just for FYI, for you to understand, I got a lot of equipment on my place. And once that goes on, I plan on using the other 2.5 acres for the time being to put my construction company on. So, there'll be 2 businesses in this town. So that's, I don't know, you
So.
take it for what
so
it's worth.
What you're saying, you're not only building the bar and grill complex,
Sure.
but you can also be relocating your construction.
Yeah, you bet.
to-
Yeah,
to
I've
Shoshoni.
talked about that. We've actually talked about getting all of our stuff off our place and, we want to separate our home from our
Right.
company. And as far as we drive today, I mean, to drive over here isn't, you know what I mean? We're driving 75, 80 miles a day, so, and most of the guys that I have hired, so on and so forth. My daughter, the other guy we had, they all live over here. So it's almost to their benefit too, so, my daughter has her baby over here, then she don't have to drive clear back. She can just drop her baby off and come to work.
So even
So-
if for some reason the bar and grill got delayed, you'd have your construction company moving over here anyway.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm going to bring all my
Any
equipment. As soon as the property's in my name, I'm bringing all the equipment anyway, because I got to have it to do the job. So when I'm done, I'm not going to, I'll just slide it over there, put up a sign, you know, I guess whatever you got to do to make that legit. I mean, like I say, I'm not a, you know, that's the sharpest knife in the box, but I get her done.
Your suggestion of the sewer line, you're saying that you would build a sewer.
Yeah, as long as you
line.
guys let me put it in your easement. That's all I'm asking.
Put it
Let
in-
me put it in your easement. I'll dig it in for myself. I gotta have it. I gotta have it.
And including the lift station?
That's just a concrete box with a pump in it, right?
Well,
That's pretty much what it is.
that's a description.
Well, it's a manhole, right?
Well, it's sort
I
of
put in a
like
couple
that.
of them in my day. I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
Let's- yes.
I mean, with you guys, I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but that's pretty much what it is, right? You can probably put a building on it, some piping and, right?
Well, It's about like my heart surgery. They used a sawzall and a handyman jack. Go bit up
A
my
couple
rib
of
cage.
Advil and you were good to go.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Well, I understand it's a little more than that, but to dig it and do it all to my cost and, you know, I pretty much have the line, you know, 8-inch poly unless you guys want something bigger. You know, I mean,
Yeah, that would.
I feel like that's gonna be a pretty simple project myself.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna be able to put the line in the,
Yeah.
you know, you're not gonna be able to put that line in the ground very deep there, you know, so what are you saying? 4 or 5 foot, 6?
Yeah, that's,
I mean, it'll go
yeah,
to,
sewer don't have to be as deep as water, but yeah,
you know, we can go to the engineer, get it looked at,
right.
you know, I mean, and then when whoever's on the other side, that whatever they do to come into it, then
Sure.
there's already sewer there.
Sure.
So, you know, you might, you know, city might have to help out a little bit if your pump station's more than, you know, your lift station's more than what you want, you don't need enough. But you'd have to, you know, but I figure if we get along, we get along. We don't,
Right.
then we don't.
So it's, I think for now that we got, would you need anything from the city to help improve the access?
Well, at this point
to
right
the-
now, I met with YDOT. YDOT says there will be no easement off that highway. Absolutely not. So that's what I was just saying to Tammy. So if you guys are gonna develop that road and give me an access in there so I can get started, when's that? What's going on there?
That was my question. Well, that's my question. Would you build, you got equipment, would you build the access yourself?
How will I know where to build it if you don't
Well, no. we
stake and
have a-
survey the road and do things?
It's right there.
Well,
We got an easement in there for road.
what are you gonna require for the road? You gonna asphalt it and all that too and
Well, I,
put in,
to
valves
me, for now, I would say leave that up to what you need. If you're gonna put it in, if you feel you need an asphalt road, you can put it in. To me, if you wanted to put a gravel road in, your business right now is the only one that would be serving.
yeah, why would that be up to me to build the road? It's your town, it's your stuff. I don't understand.
Because it's your project.
Well, you guys the one that said you'd build me a road in there. So now you want me to build a road too?
I think he's asking you questions as far as what are you willing to do versus what is the town gonna do? I know that if the town says we're gonna go asphalt the road over there, they're gonna say, what about the rest of the road? I mean, he's just asking a
Right.
valid question. If you say, I just want a dirt road or 2-track and drive down a 2-track, if that suits you, that's what I believe you're
Right.
saying as far as
Correct.
2-track or asphalt, it's up to you at this point.
As long as I don't gotta build it, I guess that's fine. with me. I don't
Well,
care.
we don't have the funding right now to put an asphalt road in there. That I can tell you, the city doesn't, town does not have the money to do that. So,
Well, what do you think something like that would cost? I mean,
400,000.
yeah, yeah. I mean, look, YDOT quoted me 260 just if they ever decide to do that, I'd still have to pay for that. if I wanted to bring it off of their road, when and if they ever decide to do it.
Sure.
I mean,
Not a road there already.
There he is.
yeah, but it's-
Highway.
That's the old highway, correct?
Just a dirt road right now.
So you'd have to,
but you're gonna try to advertise a business, you know,
Right,
and you're gonna,
but you have time to do that. We're not saying today, right?
Well, I mean, there's grants we can put in for economic development that does do roads through the business council.
Mhm.
That's how we got Herbst Road and 7th Street paved.
Right.
So there is those, but it's not something I have an answer for today, yay
No.
or nay, it's down the road.
well, I'm gonna need
Maybe
to know all
next
that
year.
before I can tell you that, yeah, I'm go in on all that. I mean, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like,
That'd be probably a year down the road, 2 years down the road before I'd have an answer for that.
To build,
To build, put asphalt on it.
But you could do it by just graveling it yourself. That's what we're saying, right?
and we might even be able to help with that, so.
the town with,
We have a grader.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we could do that work.
Yeah.
And we have equipment to do some work. We just don't have it to
we don't have
put
a
asphalt.
compaction
Right.
or have to be engineered.
Yeah, we have a good blade and mini excavator. we
well,
have
because
a
the
backhoe.
road goes by your 2 acres that you guys kept, and then it actually comes to my place, and so then I'd actually be basically building and taking care of the road, and
I guess is what I'm saying is that eventually that will probably be asphalted, but the expectation was from the word go, when this was done, we were gonna do that. That was never what we discussed.
we discussed about getting a road built in there for an access of,
Well, dirt road's still a road, or
Right.
gravel road's still a
I
road.
get it. So on averages again, right? That's what we're doing here.
No, that's
So,
most, yeah, most is, I don't know if most, we have a lot of streets in town are gravel.
most of
And
them.
there's, we have plenty of streets outlying that are, I'm just saying, the town at this time cannot afford to pave that road.
Well, I just feel like the farther we go along here, the more it's up to me to do everything here. What, like, I mean,
No, we're willing to work
To
with
do
you, but
what?
we can't asphalt that road. I mean, that no, we do not have the funding to do that.
well, I'll just have to think it all about, I'll just have to think it over. That's all I can tell you right now.
Okay.
I ain't gonna say yes or no to any of that.
You mentioned that you're bringing your business in.
Yeah, I got a
Tell me
construction
about-
business.
Tell me more about that. part.
Well, like, if I get the property, I got no other property, you know, so I was gonna bring my company over here and, you know, flatten off one of those pieces, you know, probably 100 by 100, whatever it measures there on the end, and
So.
He's
based
gonna
on
put
this Map, would it be
yeah, so it'd be on this end here.
closer to Herbst Road?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I
then-
don't need much. I got forms and stuff like that, you know, just something nice to flat set stuff on, probably put a building there for a little office,
Okay,
you know, put my computers and my stuff in it to run my office out so I can get all that stuff out of my house. You know, we do all of our bid work here, you know, and right now, we only employ 5 people because that's all I want to do concrete, but, I'm hoping that'll change. You know, and like I said, I think 2 of them live over here, and then the other one's my daughter. She drives back and forth, so it'll be a plus for her. You know, and I'm pretty good friends with the skid structure guy, and he's already got a couple of them sitting there. We've already talked about it, so it'd be pretty easy for me to put an office there.
my other part is utilities. With this, I don't know if there was a gas line there or we run off propane and electricity. Where-
So I haven't,
have you talked
I
to
have
those?
not been able to talk to the power company about bringing power across the road yet.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's, you know, I'm sure it's all in the works, you know, as far as that goes. As far as gas line there, I don't know if there's a gas main there, but I did look up pretty sizable propane tank, things like that, just for, you know, certain things that we install in the bar that would actually run specifically the propane,
Okay,
and not so much just the bar and grill. Anytime I can get natural gas, that's what we're gonna hook into.
so,
I can tell you that. You know, the propane is just for, say, outdoor fire pits and things like that.
Okay,
It'll be a seasonal deal where we buy and fill it for just certain things. It's not gonna be a, you know. And as far as the water goes, you know, I planned on tying in the city main. You know, and as far as the sewer goes, we actually talked about septic first.
right. that's
But
what I'm
to be
doing.
able to install that main line in there and get it over to some kind of lifting station, to pump it up into your main line for gravity, you know, feed. And who's to say that without even surveying it, that the property ain't high enough to just put a gravity feed line in? You know, I mean, I don't know how deep it is over there, but your project's gonna put it in next spring. Is that the plan? On that
From
new
the
sewer
mushroom
main,
plant?
right?
From the mushroom plant?
Yeah, where that line's gonna come across there or whatever.
Yeah.
So at that point, we'd know the grade, we'd know the depth of the line, and we'd know whether or not we could shoot it and see whether or not we're gonna get the fall or what kind of deal we'd get into.
It's quite a bit north.
There's probably about a 15-foot drop from where we're putting it to where this is,
So you got plenty of fall, right?
but the main's to the east. So you'd be going uphill all the way to that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you don't,
I'm just,
if you got 15 feet of fall, you see what I'm saying?
I think he's saying you got 15 feet of hill.
you have 15 foot of hill.
Oh,
You have to go up.
See, so not fall.
You're 15-foot downhill.
Okay, so
At
you're
least.
just saying it backwards. That's all right. So that's, so yeah, all right. So then we'd have to pump it uphill 15 feet.
But you could also go east without doing engineering, but the main line off Maple would connect over east, over by the Shoshoni Suites or whatever you want to call it.
Apartments.
Yeah,
Apartments, yeah.
yeah, the apartments. So that would be probably the better way to go, because going north, you're talking almost half a mile.
And you guys didn't ever plan on bringing that main line up Herbst Road
We,
to
Yeah.
develop all that?
that is a totally different project that has to do with economic development. That's why it's specifically for that, but it's only going one way. It's not to branch out for that whole area yet. That'd be a different function. That's why I was saying a lot of the stuff that you're talking about doing, we can do through grants, but it's a process.
And at
It's
this
so-
point, there is no way that, you know, you're talking years to get all this handled.
Correct.
And there's money out there, but it takes a year delay from inception to engineering, to construction, to completion. That's about a 2-year window.
Okay.
But the money's there and that things can be done for business activity like we did with the.
Well, there are ways to do things, but to put a septic system, you know, into something that big that's gonna run that much water, people are gonna be in and out, you know, using the restrooms, you know, whatever they're doing, you know, you're talking, you know, restaurants running, you know, dishwasher, you know, washing dishes, doing all that stuff. You're talking a lot of water that's gonna, you know, thousands of gallons, you know, probably a couple thousand gallons a day, I would think.
I think that goes back to what the mayor was talking about, is the timeliness of it. If you're wanting those things, we can, and you're going forward with that, we need to have a time frame. We can work on getting some of those things to help. But it's also one of those things that requires, you're building it. It's not all in the town to supply you the utilities, but we can get grants to help. And then where are you gonna fall in that link to get things done? Whether it's 2 years, 3, 2.5, 1 year. I mean,
Sure.
it's all possible. And it's definitely worthwhile, but we have to know what your plans are so we can plan and tell you what we can do
And relocating your construction company on that
as a start.
property also would be an asset in doing this.
Sure. Should be a furtherance of getting a grant and established business that doesn't have access to utilities is different than one that's proposed.
Sure.
They're two different grants. That's what we went through last time. You have the business.
Yeah, well,
grant,
like I told you guys
business
before when we've talked, I don't know anything about all that paperwork, you know, I don't know anything about all that stuff. You know, but if it's out there to do it, I mean, obviously
We
you
want
know,
to help.
that's
you.
what I'm trying to do. I
Sure.
mean, I'm not gonna drive over here every day and ask you to help me. I can't do that. I'm, you know, we all got jobs, right? I mean, this is just a second job here. You know, and we're working, you know, well over 12 hours a day here. You know, I mean, we're working our asses off. And so to find extra time to run all this down, and find all this information, you know, especially when everything closed, you know, whatever. I'm not good with computers. So I mean, that's some of my own fault because I don't know. But it is something, you know, if I can get a little help, I can definitely look stuff up. I'm not stupid, you know, I mean, I can,
Well, that's what the business council is literally there for, is this purpose right here. is to help
and so how do we
facilitate-
meet with them? How do we talk to them?
Well, that would go with your business plan, developing that some more. That's a totally different process than what this is
It's-
for.
You'd have to present us a business plan. The council would,
It's not public.
yeah, the council would
That
have,
portion's not
yeah,
public.
no, it's all, yeah, it's not out to the public, everything, but we'd have to have a business plan. The governing body would have to vote on it to go to the business council to present the proposal to them. And
Now, is there someone who's gonna let this go on? I mean, I thought you told me they don't never do that for bar and grills and stuff.
I
So,
said it was difficult for a bar and grill.
well, I don't want to be wasting my time.
But when you said you're bringing in your construction company, I said that makes it easier. But
Well, I still gotta
but-
own the
but I
land to
did-
bring the construction company here. So what are we talking about?
Pardon?
That's what I said. I still gotta own the land to bring the construction company over here. So what are we talking about?
I'm just telling you what we have, what I can.
I mean, are
do.
we gonna get it
The town
bought?
can-
Am I not gonna buy it? I guess I just
No,
don't
that's-
understand what's going on. What am I doing?
Well, that's, a lot of that's in your court right now. You just told us that you would not buy it tonight without talking to your attorney.
Right.
Okay.
So where's the paperwork I need to take to him so he can see it?
We couldn't buy it tonight anyway.
No,
No matter
we
what. just
vote
do-
on.
We vote on it and then it's
Right.
closed at a later date.
So what I was trying to do was outline if the council so wanted some time stipulations that something's moving on, if they that if you'd start building within a year or have some constructed in 2 years, if that was reasonable, if the council felt that was reasonable, if that we could agree on that. If there was other things.
I agree that I will start building within a year for sure. Yep. As soon as the blueprints and stuff and the design is all done and that all comes through, we will, as soon as you guys approve it, we will start building. Yes, sir.
And Dwayne, I just want to clarify for you that right now you're not purchasing it today. It's the council.
Yeah, I know.
accepting
I
it.
was
That
under
comes
the,
later.
that was another, you know, because I was under the assumption that's actually what I was coming here for. I did not know that, you know, I was coming here
We still
for,
have to close and go through, the.
yeah,
closing,
like I said
which-
before, this is my first time.
That's why I just.
So I
wanted
don't
to
know
let you
all the legal legalities to do it. And that's why I went and seen legal counsel so I could figure out a little more information on what we're doing.
And if it's agreed upon or whatever tonight, if it is agreed upon, then you would have your attorney be able to look at whatever our attorney came up with as far as the closing documents and agreements. And at that time, you backed away, you backed away. If you didn't, you didn't. That's where it's at.
Okay, so then you guys are actually gonna take another vote on this and then I'll meet you again in what, like 2 weeks here? Is that the,
You wouldn't come back here. It'd be at a closing table.
okay,
Like you're buying a piece of
explain
property.
that to me. What's the closing table?
If you, whenever you buy a piece of property from anybody, you'll meet a title company and you
Okay.
close on the
I'm
property.
familiar with that.
Okay, that's what's going on. Well, right
Alright.
now, we're agreeing to the terms of what we're doing. If we need to get our attorney and your attorney to get together so we can get our attorney and put together what we're hammering out our agreement here. And if we get that hammered out, the council will vote to accept or not. If the council decides to move forward, then we'll get it to the attorneys and get you guys, get your attorney and our attorney together and we'll get it into the closing. That's
Okay.
what I'm trying to lay out.
Well,
is
when I
some
seen
of
him
the-
yesterday, he said to get whatever paperwork you guys got, he would like to review it. Set me down. That's what he said. I said, okay. So that was what
So,
that's another thing. That's another reason I showed up tonight was to be able to pick up
Do-
whatever.
Okay, does the council have any more questions for Dwayne?
Out of this 5+ acres, how many acres would you use for the business, the bar?
We're
and
gonna
grill?
try to use 3.
3.
3 acres, hopefully, the way, and like I said, when we get out there and we start laying out the building and things, it might go to 3.5. You know, on average. We're gonna try to
Okay.
use 3.
And then you have maybe half acre for your business.
Well,
forms
I
and
need
stuff.
enough room there to be able to whip a semi in there, because I got a semi that hauls my form, so I gotta have enough room to be able to come in there, and I'd like to be able to come in and circle around, so I can come up and offload my stuff and still be able to go back out.
Okay,
So I'm, you know, and as I get that lined out, I'm sure that's another thing that I'll just have to kind of, you know, feel out until I get the right amount of space for what I'm trying to do there. You know, because I got, I don't know, 4 or 5 pretty good sized tracos and quite a bit of concrete forms and skid loaders and
so right now,
Trailers.
in my mind, you're up to roughly 4 acres out of the 5. Is that
Yeah,
close?
the white.
Fair enough.
Okay.
We.
How much of that land do you think
Make it, 'cause it's only 80 foot.
is non-usable
We-
because of
Pardon?
sandstone?
It's only
rocks
80
and
foot.
everything
well,
else?
so in the one spot there are rocks sticking up, but I was gonna try to put some picnic tables out there and grass that all in just for people. You know, because I gotta try to utilize what I'm using, you know, so I was gonna try to put some stuff out there just for people to sit around,
Yeah, that's my point.
you know,
Right,
just
right.
for
Yeah,
some
we have to do
atmosphere, you
that.
know, I mean, like I said, that's just another thing that, you know, and I actually thought about at the beginning of this whole deal, you know, once I owned it, I would just flatten it with a dozer. You know, keep the stones where I want them and smooth it off and kind of get my bearings on the property, you know, so I know what, and then it's easier for me to lay it out,
Okay.
you know,
Another question I had was on drainage,
sure.
because that's on a fairly good.
Yeah, it definitely
Yes,
drains across that slope.
So what are the plans for that? I mean, because
Well, it's another reason why we're buying it is because of the drainage.
explain.
Like I said, we actually looked at putting a water slide in there.
Okay,
And because of the way the hill falls off and actually slides down through there, we'd like to see it run down through there. Now, the one thing I did notice is that the drainage under the road, you know, under the water line. I mean, if you ever get a lot of water up on that side, then it runs down. Did you guys know there's a drainage under the road?
the old highway,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay, so that's the wash that comes around there and then drains into the Poison Creek. So that's one thing that I don't know on what's going on, but we'll have to address that drainage because I got a little.
Have you talked to the state if they're gonna allow you to drain into it?
Oh, I'm not draining into the drainage. We're not doing, I plan on planting grass there and just having a,
No, he's saying, well,
I'm sure, because this will all flow into poison.
yes, sir.
So
Sure
his
will.
question is.
so is the state gonna say it's okay to dump chlorinated
I don't believe they
water
will.
or?
I don't believe they will. Almost every project that's ever been done nowadays, you got to build yourself a recovery pit, just like over here at the gas station.
Okay.
And so that's more than likely when we get the ground. Yeah, when we get the ground slope, we'll probably have to put in a pit liner and put in a drain up in the asphalt where the sun come through and go in, just like they've
Okay.
done over here.
Yeah, so that was our.
Yeah, so and I believe that is how it has to work.
Because, I'm seeing, my overall question was, how are you gonna use this 5 acres? And so how big your building was, your business,
Sure.
the drainage, what you're gonna do for excess water, those type of questions are, is that enough land?
Well, I'll tell you this right now, because I want to be able to incorporate that rock pile into my building. See, that's
Okay,
the only reason why I want to buy that piece of property is that rock pile. If it didn't have it on it, I wouldn't get shit. I can just tell you that. But I want to have that rock pile incorporated into the building. That's the whole design of that whole deal. And that's why with your guys' 60-foot offset, I'm hoping that that don't encroach into that rock pile too much.
It was supposed to be designed where it wouldn't. I believe the markers, it's
So,
not correct.
yeah.
Use if they got.
Yeah,
steps.
and then it's just cruising right along that ditch that's.
Yeah, right.
So, and the rock pile's actually up a little bit. So I feel like we're
Yeah,
good
that
there.
was what I told the surveyors to do.
But that's, like I said, once we have it, we can go in there and kind of
Right.
lay it all out, get an engineer over there. Cause I gotta, I'm gonna have to have an engineer come in there and look at that to make sure that we can actually do what I want to do there. Because otherwise I got to drill in it and pour concrete pylons.
It, you know, one of the questions I guess is how much road that you feel that you're gonna be comfortable with. I know this design that we
I
have,
just-
that the engine, that the surveyors, engineers designed is
Well, I
it's a
think it ought
little
to be
different
designed
than
for
what's there
coming and
now,
going,
because
you
it
know,
kind
I
of
mean-
circles around some of that stuff, with sort of a wider come in than what is now. It's a little, that would be better though.
So I guess that's, I mean, you know, as the city, what, I mean, you got a 35-foot road like everybody else, or is it you down to, you know, what do you
No.
got?
I think if you're happy with what we're putting in there now, if,
Well, I feel
Whatever
like
you
two-
need for
I
your
feel like two
access.
vehicles definitely got to pass through there. And
Sure.
if I'm wheeling in there with a semi full of forms or my trackle on it, I mean, we're gonna need a big enough road, you know, you gotta be able to roll in there. I mean, so I feel like it's gotta be, you know, your standard size road.
Well,
Right.
design's 80 foot.
At
With
what?
80 foot width of the road.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I understand that. What I'm saying is from, you know, wherever we lay it out, right? I mean, because right now there's like a 2-track, is what I'm saying. So
Yes.
we're gonna need a whole nother lane.
another track, yeah.
Is that road good? If a semi, not for your business, but if a semi needs to drive down there,
Yeah, and you're talking like Winnebagos with boats on, things like that, you know? I mean, basically, in my mind, I see the same vehicles that's pulling into this gas station coming into that.
but where are they gonna turn around if they drive down the road? So I think the question is are we gonna do a big cul-de-sac turnaround down there? Are we gonna turn around on the other side of the rock pile? Is it gonna
Well, I'm
turn
hoping to
into a
just
hill?
have a parking lot up here. So actually the building is actually gonna be, the doors would actually be facing towards the town. That makes sense? And then I was asking, the back of my building would actually run right over that rock pile and right down the side. And then I'll have concrete out the back with stairs going down onto the back of that back piece.
So your parking lot, if I understand you, right, parking lot will be on the far west side, the longest side of your
Yes, it would actually be on the east side.
east side. Okay, then I thought it'd be on the west
Yep.
side.
And I would, you know, so that's why I say, as we hug it up there, it might take us 3.5 acres. You see what I'm saying? Not just
Yeah, so
just
that's why I
3.
asked that question.
So a guy might have to come up here and give me a little more and build my entryway there. So that way, you know, those 2 Winnebagos can pass and go as they're coming and going out of there.
Sure.
And then they would come in and I'd like to see them pull in, you know, kind of like just an RV park. You would pull in a long drive, just like out the boat marina. And that way, when you're ready to leave, you would just pull out and go right back out. That way you're not in a traffic jam. You know, I mean, you just come in and I feel like, I mean, that's a lot of space right there. I mean, if you can't turn around on 1.5 acres, I don't know, man, just me. You shouldn't be driving. I don't know.
See, I have this little suggestion in my brain.
All right.
Put myself in your shoes, and I don't know how this falls in the economic development. On the one hand, if you, as an example, if he paid the appraised price of the property, in theory, that should give him latitude to do whatever he wants because he's bought the ground. Is that
Correct.
Yes.
versus if we do it under economic development and you pay what you offered, you're up against so many of the hoops of
Sure.
we want this, we
With
want
working
that.
through economic development. Right.
So
So what's the price on, I mean, do I still get to pay the same price or you want more then?
Well,
no, so the suggestion, so the appraisal, roughly the appraisal is 50,000. Is that right?
I can go grab it. Off the top of
It was
my
in,
head.
like I said, it's 44, 45. So it's roughly 45,000 is the asking price, the appraised price of the ground. But if the example is, well, I just bought it, that gives you, if you want to put, you're not under anybody's thumb. You're not saying, I will build in 1.5 years. If I don't build, then this and this happens. It gives you freedom. And on the one hand,
So-
maybe it's even less than saying,
right.
gravel road or a lift station. Like I said, it's just a thought, but I don't know if that works on the economic development side or not. That I don't know. It's trying to make it easier for you.
I understand that. I got all that, but here's what I see. And this is, don't get offended. Basically, I'm getting it for $1,750 instead of 50 grand. So I'd only pay around 85 or whatever. And I think that the town probably needs the money to build their stuff, do whatever they're doing. And I feel like I'm getting strong armed into
No.
trying to do something else here.
No,
And I'm
we,
gonna tell you what,
we
I'm
just
gonna
want
tell
you
you
to
something right
build.
now, dude.
No, we just want you to build here. We just have, because of economic development, we have rules we gotta follow.
Fair
Something
enough.
like, and so we gotta jump through all the darn hoops.
All right.
You
Well,
know,
again,
that's all we're doing, and nothing else. You know, I personally just want you to see build it. The less money you have on land, the more money you can put into the building. It's going to be a benefit for the town, and that's it. But just Mike was, and if we were going to do that, that was probably something we should have done months ago, maybe.
Well, it's like I said, it's, I'm not saying go either way.
I'm just saying, but that was a point. That's a good point.
Because as
We could
there
get
again,
rid of
as you hear these things that come across, I mean, all of a sudden, it's the budget just keeps going up and up and up on. So this is me trying to help you
sure.
out, saying
Right. Yeah.
maybe you'll save yourself $100,000 instead of getting into this project, and then all of a sudden you say, well, I want a road or I need this, and it gets bottlenecked. Like I said, like I said, it's not trying to kill the dream. I think you're right. I think everybody's
I just
right on this
wonder-
as far as
In my mind, I wonder who else is trying to buy it now,
nobody. Nobody. I'm sorry, I might be speaking out of line, but no one has said anything in the world to me about it. And I suppose if they were, they would have been here tonight because this was their chance.
well, I'll tell you what, we'll like I said, you got any paperwork for me to take to my lawyer? What are we doing there?
Well, what we're doing right here is trying to come with agreement, what we're gonna put on the paperwork and the
Sure.
terms, correct? That's what we're doing right now. And we'll have our attorney present them to you, and that's, or to your attorney, and I'll check with Marshall tomorrow, see how fast we can get them out, hopefully Monday or Tuesday next week. So we've agreed on the price, right?
Which is?
17,500.
No,
No.
1750 an acre.
Oh, 1750 an acre. Okay, 1750.
Just no smoke going, don't worry.
I know, dude, I'm about ready to walk
1750,
out this door. I'm just
Yeah,
telling you right now.
1750 an acre. So that was, I just searched 17, but 1750 an acre. That's the agreed price. We all agree on that, correct?
But in lieu of that agreement, so there's two parts to any deal. There's the terms and the price. So you've set the price, the council is setting the terms.
Yeah, I got it. Yep.
So we're just saying that he needs to be building before 2 years.
Well, I think there's
Right.
more
but I'm
to it.
saying
Yes,
plus.
those are the terms we're coming down with,
Right.
is the time frame of building, it's the, what's going on. Like I said, prior to tonight, I was aware that it was gonna be putt-putt golf, maybe an EV station, a bar and grill. And tonight we've learned that he wants to bring his construction business over here. Up until tonight, we've never heard anything about that.
But that gives us another business.
But that's a plus.
Sure,
Not
but I
enough.
meant, it's just talking about things that are changing. It's not, none of this is negative. This is what we have these meetings for, as far as
Right.
ironing out the details. That's what I'm telling you, Dwayne. The difference is if it's just for sale and you pay, so like what Stetler has, Stetler can do whatever he wants with the property. He offered, he paid a price tag,
Understand that.
do whatever he
I
wants.
guess what I'm getting at is, I was under the impression, once I bought it, I was allowed to put whatever business on it I want. You know,
That's the problem with.
3.5 of it was
economic
gonna be for a bar and grill, and then I was able to other expansion for the rest of the property.
But I see,
No.
personally see no problem with him bringing the other business in.
No, I don't either.
I
No,
think
no,
that's a
and-
plus.
But at the end of the day, I think as the council, our job under the banner of economic development is this is what I'm going, because we've said that all along with every property we have
Right.
for sale. We're not gonna sell town hall to someone that just comes in and says, I've got a
Right.
dream. And so
No,
what
but-
is that dream? What's it gonna, so he's laying that out, 35 employees. I want to compare it to Boondocks, you know. We have stuff coming together. I would say, on the one hand, we don't have any paperwork. We don't have any, we have your brain that says this is what I want.
I got no paperwork either.
So we have no
where's that
business
at?
plan.
But part of Dwayne's issue, he can't, one of the issues, he can't move forward with the bank till he owns the property. But if he would commit to build a minimum 2,500 square foot building, he's talking bigger than that. And he needs to start construction with a year. I would say he's fulfilling his obligation. I mean, that's funny, when we originally approved to move forward on this is pretty much what he said he was gonna do, is what he's talking about now. He's added another business, to me, is a plus, not a minus, and I think that helps us.
Which I was actually,
But-
I was asked to bring over and put here in the first place. You know,
And-
that's another thing.
But that's,
I didn't come over here and ask you to do this here. I was asked to come over here and try to do something here. Now I'm getting all this flack, like what's, you know, like what's really going on?
I feel like what we need as a council, we need a business plan. You can't go to a bank and sit down with the banker and say, I have this great vision. They're gonna say, that's awesome, we love it. What do you have on paper?
Well, that's it.
So we have a recording, but we have nothing on paper that says.
The
anything.
banker told me when I own the property, and then I can go get my engineering done to bring her in. She sees the plan first, even before you guys.
but if we put terms on the deed, we can protect ourselves by that, let him develop his plan.
But are you okay with that? Because
That would be, that's,
What do you think, baby? We'll just call it. Yeah, that's what I think too. It's been real, you guys. I'm over this bullshit. Come on, let's go.
so do we need to vote on anything then?
I am under the impression he was through his position.
So do we make a motion to not accept the offer?
do we send him our proposal?
No. You know, Jamie came in and threw the keys on your desk and walked out the door.
I think we need to at least give him a chance. I don't think Dwayne actually understands all of it. He's been working long hours and he's pretty tired. Can we draw something up for an attorney to look at?
We haven't, he's gone.
Okay, this is what I have as, I took as what we would accept. One, he starts his building within 25 or 20, within 1 year.
Within 1 year.
His building will be at least 2,500 square feet.
Right?
Okay, he'll bring his second business in.
Right?
He said he would install a lift station.
Right?
Okay. And that he would bring his plans in, and this is the conditional part. If we approve the sale of the property. Now, under that number 5, bring in his plans, we would say, we have to accept your plans before 1 through 4 can happen.
He's got no plan.
That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
If he
Right.
brings these plans,
So, I mean, I don't,
then we
sure,
would accept it.
but at the same token, the man's walked out, he threw up his hands and he
Yeah.
said, I'm done, I'm out.
Okay, that's what I've heard so far.
But there again, so let me ask you, Mr. Mayor, if that was a job interview with your potential hire, what are you gonna do? You call him up the next day and say, hey, buddy, old pal,
No, but this is more than a job interview, and it may be, I don't know if he's, I guess, done all together, just done right now. It's like Tammy said, he's been working a ton of hours. If I think we need something in writing from him. It doesn't have to be a detailed, I'm thinking on this, not a detailed plan for the amount of money, but we gotta have written commitment from him, like the lift station. And it may be done, but he's looking at he just said $1.5 million investment, and interest rates been going up on him. There's that going on.
Sewer's gonna be $1 million by itself.
that's the deal. See, I don't know how we objectively have this conversation. See, there's a part of me that says $1.5 million ain't gonna do nothing on this. It might do up on the rocks, but that's what I mean. If the guy is maxed out at $1.5 million and he's got to do a lift station, he's got to put in sewer pipe. I understand,
Dwayne does all that.
He owns a
but he
construction.
doesn't own a printing press that makes $100 bills.
No, but he does do sewer lines and all that.
But I get that. He has the ability, but there's a dollars and cents to this side of it.
Just materials,
Right.
Just I mean, a lift station is not just a couple
$400,000.
Right.
bricks in a shack. I mean, it's,
But what is the town out if he invests $1 million out there? What are we out?
so my personal feeling is we're not necessarily out anything, but if there's a condition in there that says the ground comes back to what it is, that's going to force him to pick up his construction business and leave. As far as that's the issue with the way this is structured, because he wants the 5 acres, but now we want to divide it. So on the one hand, we'd be better off saying, we'll sell you 2 acres for your construction company.
I'm thinking, just me, if he was just saying, I want to bring my construction company here and locate here, that'd be economic development, and I would support that. That's just me.
Sure, and you wouldn't have so many hoops to jump through, and there's so much less unknown
So
for his behalf.
if we look at that, he's bringing his business in here, and we drop the emphasis on the bar and grill. He's bringing that in, and hopefully puts that in too. I'd still say, I would still move forward with the sale if he's going to relocate his business. He had talked about relocating his business in Shoshoni on a different property at one time out by the mushroom farm out there. He did talk about relocating out there at one time. But I feel that was sort of a game changer when he says he's bringing the construction. To me, it was. That means it's more important. So I think we swing maybe off the emphasis on my concern is somebody comes in, buys land, way under appraisal, and then do nothing with it, and then tries to flip the land in
Correct.
3 years and
agree.
sells it.
I agree.
That's a big concern.
Mhm.
Maybe one of the things that we would put in that he keeps his business over here for 5 years or something like that, his other business
I thought
as part of.
if the clause was the town has first right of refusal to purchase the property for the sell price of today. So if he had to pack up and
Well,
go,
correct.
we get to say, we don't, it doesn't matter the appraisal, you paid 1750, we will buy it back at 1750.
Correct,
Improvements, whatever.
correct,
If we choose not, I mean, the
right.
council or whatever down the road, if they say, but that to me, those are the terms of, we're trying to put this into a deal.
Agreed.
And I understand the urgency, life sucks, 'cause interest is doubling, but there again,
And, you know, and a lot of places they'll have that, I like a 5-year window that you just can't roll it over and put it into a 5-year, they put it into a 5-year window. And where he's gonna keep his busy, he can't do anything with it 5 years, gotta have his business operating out there. If he doesn't operate his business and then start up a business or do anything, then give us the yeah, at the reduced price.
so I'm not sure what the tipping point was in the conversation, just so we're all clear. I'm pro business in this town.
Well, sure.
I would love to see him do that. I honestly feel like if there was a loophole that said, write us a check for $45,000, do whatever you want.
Mhm.
Then there again, it's so much freedom to, if he wants to do if the economy falls flat on his
Agreed.
face, he's not gonna lose it. He's not gonna get it foreclosed on. I mean, he's free and clear to do
Sure.
as he, versus I understand the temptation of right now, well, it's 5 acres, 17, we're $8,000, $9,000 for cheap dirt,
Right,
highway
right.
frontage. But if we default, or if you can't afford these things, if he
Agreed.
buys it, doesn't have to put in a lift station. That might be several $100,000 anyway, but I don't
I don't
want
think
to.
he understood all that.
Well, there again, that's kind of the situation. I feel like there again, bless his heart for wanting to do, but if it's another person, our job is to do what we hear, and what we're hearing and seeing is what we've got to this point.
Well,
So,
yeah, our job is to look out for the best interest of the town.
and so on the one hand, if we have someone that gets their feel bad hurt and just packs up and leaves, and we're in the middle of,
Sure.
is that character going to carry over to where we said, did we really do what was best for the town? Like I said, I'm pro help this man go forward.
I think moving his business here, I don't see the downside of that.
No, I think you're right. The bar and grill has become the crux of, because that is the cost.
Right.
The man can run his bulldozer make a flat spot and start stacking up
Yeah.
your stuff. Does the community say, we're glad we sold our highway frontage for a construction company? I don't know. No one's, except for Teresa, no one's here to contest, but that's a good point. Maybe you would like to share, you can share it anytime, can't you? This is open. It's an open hearing.
Public hearing.
You want to share anything?
Yep.
Oh,
Am I allowed?
Yes,
Please.
go ahead.
Okay. I don't know Dwayne, I just know that he's got a construction company. I've been watching this through YouTube since it started. He stated that he wasn't the one to come to you guys. Somebody went to him, asking him to bring stuff here. I think at the very beginning, he's been misled. I think you guys had tried, not you guys, but some people had tried ramrodding things through without sitting down and talking. I don't think you guys had your ducks in a row. I feel sorry for the guy. I feel sorry for any business that's trying to come in here. I know you guys have got rules. Set up an account, you had a committee, an economic committee. You're on it. Nobody's set and had a meeting as far as how you want to see this town grow and what you have to do it. It's by the seat of your pants and hoping they'll go through. So I don't blame him for being upset and stuff. First of all, I think that buying 5 acres for the cost of one, because it's what, 45,000 or so? Okay, 1 acre's like 9,000. So he's getting 5 acres for the cost of one. I don't think that's fair to our town for that cost. You had a good idea. I think that, maybe half of what it's appraised for, and then put the other half in an interest-bearing thing until and he needs to come up with a plan so you guys can see, and hold that until he gets it done. When he gets it done, then you give him the money back with interest on it. But you guys don't have a plan. And I don't, I can see the frustration in him. And here he's wanting to bring a business here, and you guys have gave him a runaround.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I gotta say, and I gotta go.
Well, thank you for sharing. It's nice to get a perspective.
Dwayne hadn't been given a runaround.
Yeah, you got
He has not been given a runaround.
I don't think he has either.
I
No,
just want to give a clarification because I'm getting text messages and stuff like that. So I'm just going to give a clarification on the legal process here since our attorney's not here. So once he first came to town council and said, I want this land, that began a process of him and the mayor going out, looking at the land, talking about the land. And then he came to council, presented his plan for what he would like to pay for X amount of acres. And then they finalized that plan. That was back in April before they figured out, May, before they figured out what exactly was going to be that, which was on the map prior. Once that was done, we then had to contact a surveyor to come out and actually survey that land. That took a process that took about 2 months. We can't help that. That's what it took. Once that was done, and only when that was done, could we then get a commercial appraiser to come in, which right now they're in such high demand because there's none of them out there. And the one that did come came from Casper and he got it surveyed. That was done 3 weeks ago. Then it starts the process of advertising for 3 weeks in a newspaper publication. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 months right there. That's not a runaround. It's not on the town's responsibility to come up with a plan on how a business is going to do stuff. And so I'm offended by that,
Yes.
period. I am. End of story.
Yes. 3.2%, 6.7%. That has nothing to do with, if it would have gone the other way, we would have been heroes. Man, guys, in the 4 months that you've taken, interest has dropped from 3.2 to
Sure.
1% now. Hallelujah.
My question is, if this is economic development, and we're saying we're gonna sell this building for
Sure.
economic development, and we want a business plan before we sell it, we expect that on a piece of paper. And that was my hang up, is that I did not have a business plan of saying this, he said, I want to have a horse to ride, a bull to ride. a
Water slide,
putt
Winnebago
golf.
turnaround,
What is the plan?
because it doesn't fly to bank.
Yeah,
And the state,
that's where I was hung up at.
and the state law says that's the plan as determined by council.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys want, that's what's
That
required.
means I expect to see something in writing, with the pictures of saying, this is where I have my building, this is where I'm gonna have the slide, just that. did
Even
not
if it's
happen.
chicken scratch on paper, we're not asking for $1 million.
Sure.
That was the meeting what we had on Tuesday. What Fastlane has put together is a beautiful brochure of what they're gonna have over there.
Sure.
We're not asking for that. But we are asking for something that says, and I get it, if we enter into a deal that says, we'll sell you the ground. I mean, I don't think there's any conflict in selling in the ground. And we can tell the bank, we're gonna sell the mound the ground. But if you guys will loan him, if you guys will come to our council meeting and you'll loan $1.5 million after our council meeting, then we'll all be on board together. And if you won't, then what do you guys require? Because I feel like that is fair. As Teresa's mentioned, that is fair for the town to say, we did our due diligence. And yes, the economic development crew, me, you, Tim Davis, we probably should have talked about some of this and we didn't. Glad it was brought to our attention. But I'm with you. I don't feel like this, for a person that shows up and says, thinks this is gonna happen in 5 days, it's not gonna happen. I mean, I looked at this, it is a year. It's just what it takes. And we can't expedite it. We
No,
can't change these
we have our
things.
hands tied.
And so yes, it's bad that some of these things are changing and the markets are doing what it's doing. But that's the name of the game in the business world. Same thing in the opening statement. I don't know if you all know, but Tony's Pizza's closing down and this other pizzeria is closing in Landers. Don't say that. We already know that 9 out of 10 businesses are going to fail. So those certain population 15,000? I don't know how many people in land are.
Eight.
8,000? So we're gonna try a restaurant in population 450. There again, I'm pro-business, but I just know that it's just like the 15-foot climb. It's an uphill battle to be successful. We want to help him be successful. So to the world out there, we want him to win.
Yeah, and in the end, is bankers will determine if he's got a good business plan to
Correct.
move forward.
And that's where, so on
Yes.
our end, our economic development is if the man says, I want to buy the ground so I can
Sure.
put my construction business right there. Maybe down the road, I'll put that in blah, blah, blah. Teresa brings up a valid point. We might say, we like your idea, but we will accept X amount per acre to do that. And he has we have that option. He has an option. I'm not willing to pay that. You know what, guys, that's a great idea. But I feel like if the economic board shows up, the imaginary economic board of Wyoming and said, so we're really excited to hear what's going on. Can you show us what's going on? What's the plan? I don't know. You got to call the guy that works 12 hours a day and ask him.
Well, where we're at right now is locked in 1715 acre, 5.15 acres. And what was presented and whatever stipulations come out of this, yay or nay. And if he accepts it, if it's yay, he accepts it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. If it's nay, he doesn't get anything. And we're back to square one. That's where we're at.
On tonight's meeting,
Yes, that's what this
That's where
meeting's
we're
for.
at. That's what it
That,
comes
that's
down
what
to.
this meeting was for.
He's not here anymore. If the
mhm.
council sets stipulations and that's how it is, attorney draws it up and says, here it is. If he still wants to accept it, he can. If he doesn't, he doesn't. If you vote nay, then we're done. That's really where it's at. So all that, we could come back to that and negotiate something else, but then we go right back to the process again as far as advertising. That's what I'm trying to say.
The man walked out on his deal.
So whatever stipulations are there, I guess he's already said his piece. Where's that?
I don't want us to conflict. I mean, so as far as a group of us here, I feel like you're pro, you want to do whatever you can to make it work. I feel like you want to do whatever to make it work. I think you've got some questions. I've got some questions, but I feel like we want him to be able to work. However, there are 4 of us here that want him to make this work, and the one who needs to be here skip town. 12 hours or not, I've been running since 6 this morning. I've ran a lot of miles, and I've been running since 6, lots of mornings. So Chris has probably run a lot of hours today as well, but he didn't pick up and say, guys, I'm tired, I'm going home. So I feel like part of this is shifted to a person's character that was not on the agenda, that was not on the proposal. But I feel like that's probably a valid concern. Do you feel like that? I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel like the valid concern?
No, I just think he came in here thinking it was a whole different thing. And then what it turned out to be, I think he thought he was coming in here and finishing the sale. And then he got all these questions thrown at him and it kind of freaked him out.
I think he's had the conversation, heard things that he's been getting the run around with. He's
Mhm.
not, but I think that played a role in him being preloaded for confrontation, so to speak. That he is under the impression that he's just falsely, but nonetheless.
Sure. He
feels
made,
that
he
way.
made the comment, well, I think someone else wants to buy the property.
So I think he was frustrated, preloaded. And I guess if I was in this position, I believe that I was being railroaded or strung along, I would possibly have that, but I react differently. But everyone's different. I'm not giving him cover. I'm just saying that.
Sure, but you're,
Play a role.
I mean, you're a police officer.
I
You
don't
walk
wanna
up to
act that
someone's
way.
door and, yeah, a whole different world. I thought I was just speeding. Actually, you've got marijuana falling out the back seat of your car. Oh, that thing back there?
But I will say he's been 5 months, 6 months talking about this, coming to council, being involved. So I think he's genuine in his commitment, even, and maybe a little bit gun shy about feeling that his plan would leak out. I know. we
But
had
that's
some-
part of the, that's unfortunate, that's part of the game. And this, on the same token, we've been talking about this 6 months, and here we are tonight with draw me a picture. We want me to put it on the magic marker on the whiteboard.
Well, I think we can ask him to present a business plan. I think we can ask him to, gonna start building within a year. I
Can we
think,
ask for a bond? I feel like the amount of questions that were brought up and the amount of things that he's committed to, I don't feel like that would be inappropriate to do some form of financial assurance. There again, the business plan was, I've got 2 other people. Who are they? Where are they?
Mhm.
What does that mean? I don't know how, except some transparency I feel is required because of the price. Buy it outright and do whatever you want. But
No, yeah, well,
But if he buys it outright, that is no longer economic development.
you're right. That's kind of the crux of how.
and it would be,
Put it for bid.
yeah, it has to go for bid.
And if it went for bid, it might go for $200,000. We look across the street and we got
28 to about 29 for 3 acres,
for 3 acres.
which is. current value.
25, 555, 55.
I thought it was 28.
No,
25.
25, 5.
Yep,
Uh-huh.
yeah, all in fives, I remember. But we definitely had a motivated buyer.
Sure.
But but the highway, who knows what it would go for? And if it's gonna create jobs and
But it sets, my concern with it is the precedent that it sets for the
Well,
big
this is-
dollar, the
this
big
is-
fish.
well,
Here,
that is so much different than this.
but it's both economic development.
But this is so much different. This is so much, we're talking, we could be talking if we got market value. We don't know what to go for. If we got market value, was that 45,000, Chris? Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I go.
it said 8,500, so we're talking, he's getting, it'd be a 30-some thousand, $37,000 cheaper than market value.
So it's about 80% down.
Yeah.
But
You're
we,
asking for a fifth.
but well, on this building, we could be talking, several 100,000 or something, depends on what was coming in.
But on that same
Yeah.
token, are we willing to take 20% of the suggested price of this building? Are we willing to take 20% of the price based on the presentation of? I mean,
But 20% of 2,000, 20% of 100,000, or 20% of 500,000, it's a different ballpark.
right, but that brings, can we let this property go for $100,000 and a presentation of, I don't quite know what I'm gonna do, but I am gonna do this.
But it's what I'm saying, we asked for that information from him before we move forward. That's what I'm suggesting. In our letter, he would have to provide that. That's what I'm suggesting.
So just for my clarification, if we did that, part of the would be he has to provide a business plan that the council would vote again on, or just would be able to observe in private and not public. Is that,
An executive
Is that-
session.
I'm just asking for.
Right.
That's an interesting idea. If you guys don't, if you don't want to kill the deal, if we go into an executive session, I think we should take it one step further. We will be in executive session, which means we can't disclose what is it he wants to do. So in fairness, he gets to disclose what he does want to do. So if he wants to give us a paper sack that says, I want to do a riding
Right.
bull and a slide, in fairness, we can say, we asked for a business plan, man, and a business slide ain't gonna cut it.
So basically from here, it'd be yay with these conditions, and then
Yay with these and it gives, if he wants to be
you
pissy
can't vote in
about it,
executive session, but you can still.
correct, we can come back out, and then I don't know how does that go with the town? if we're behind closed doors and we say, we like this business plan,
It's confidential. Economic business plans are confidential, just, they don't have to be disclosed. He can talk, but I think what you're trying to say is that you haven't seen one. He's talking in vagueness.
yeah,
If you had seen the specifics, and while he's talking to the public about what he's doing, you as a council would know what he's talking about specifically.
uh-huh.
And I think that's where the disconnect is. And I'm just trying to speed this
Sure.
up, but I think what you're talking about is doing exactly that, but in reverse. He talked vagueness, okay, we're gonna say yay on this, but you're still gonna have to provide this, and then you can see it in private. And if you have any disagreements coming out, then you would, part of the agreement would be, if it's not sufficient, then it would be null and void.
I'd want to consult Marshall on. that. Yeah,
I mean.
I'd
but-
want to consult Marshall on that. Make sure we're doing everything properly, but his concern is he not wanting to let people know.
What his plans are.
Right, but, that is understandable, but he's not letting the
But we
governing
need to
body
know.
know either.
Yeah, we need to have a better.
Because we're the ones that have to answer for it. So when the porn store shows up there, and we're like, well, guys, I guess we didn't ask that
It
question.
was part of my business plan though.
Yeah, it was in my brain. I just thought this would be a good moneymaker for the town and employ 2 more people. I said, I think that's where Teresa's brought up some points as far as how do we need to know. Don't we have to know every detail in the world, but I think it is fair to know. These are my immediate plans. These are my hopes and dreams.
Mhm.
Because we might not like a porn store down
Yeah. Pretty good.
Hot
Yeah.
shop.
there. Yeah, we might not want CBD oil down there. And he might not know that the town might not vote to allow that in.
Sure.
Well, the whole idea of economic development and public property being disposed of through economic development is that the governing body knows or has a good indication of what's going to transpire because they're selling at a discounted
discount.
price,
Mhm.
and it's public property, and you have to explain why you did so to the public at a discount for this one particular thing.
Right.
Without having that information. And so that's commensurate with economic development. And I'm not on here, but everything you said, I think would be great. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be cool. But I also understand questions and not being able to have answers because it's became contentious for whatever reason it did. And could this been solved prior? Yeah, we could have done an executive session prior to this meeting and had him in there to show if that was, but obviously he didn't have it, so. Where you at?
Well, I think it's important to note that whatever comes out of the meeting, we're not here to shut it down. We're not here to give them the runaround. We're not here to
Agreed.
squelch the dreams. Like I said,
We're just trying to protect the town.
just trying to protect the town and help
Yeah.
move it forward. But moving it forward in a responsible manner, because if we walk out of this meeting and someone comes up to us fast and say, hey, what'd y'all decide? What's he gonna do down there? What are we gonna say? He wants to bring in a semi truck with some concrete forms and 3 or 4 excavators and maybe a water slide and a bar and grill that's maybe 2,500 feet and maybe employ 35 people. That was a lot what was in my notes. And he's gonna put in a lift station for the town, and he's gonna put in the sewer, and the road is kind of questionable, and it's gonna be like boondocks. I'm from Utah. I know what boondocks is. Boondocks is half the size of Shoshoni. It's not lagoon, but it's a
Mhm.
big park. It's not enough acre, but anyway, it's neither here nor there. But that's what I can take away from the meeting and say, that's what we heard. Well, did you see it? Did you see a budgetary estimate? Can the man afford it?
And that's what the council gets to decide on economic development. How much or how little are you willing to accept for that?
Right.
There's no set standards, what I'm trying to say. And that's where we're at is what is enough for this particular, irrespective of any other economic projects that are going on or proposals around town. But for this one project, for what it is and what it's being valued at, what is the parameters of what needs to be presented? And if that's where it's at. So like town hall, we might require a lot more
Would we get in trouble for that? I mean, that's a
No,
Marshall question.
It's a completely different, each one stands on its own. There's not, we don't set a precedent by saying this is how it is and that's how all other.
They wouldn't call it favoritism.
No.
Well, this was a local guy and you gave it to him at 20% of the price and
They're gonna call it, they're gonna say it anyway.
yeah.
Thing is,
It's,
that's the price that he offered. And we can accept or reject that as any other place. And the question is, what impact will have on the community? Those 35 jobs, his business here. Those things we have to look at the whole picture. For me, I would vote right now to say, let him start all over again, because I need to see that piece of paper with his economic plan. And I haven't seen that. And he's been told we need a business plan. And so far it's just been, I want this, this, and this, but nothing concrete. And, 35 employees. I work in restaurants all the way through schools, yeah, it takes a lot of people. They're all part-time and shift work. He never said. So there's a lot of other things going on. His activities for outside, they're great for summertime. What about the wintertime? You let somebody have skis on his slip and slide?
well, he said it was gonna be seasonal.
Yeah,
But things like the drainage, if, I don't entirely understand the concept, but I do know if that is a crucial part of your project, I gotta be able to drain my water from my water park. And something comes back like, there's been no environmental impact, there's been no floodplain study, there's all these things with DEQ and EPA that we know about. That's not been, it's the due diligence side. Happy to sell it, but boy, we don't want to get you in a world of hurt and end up with, well, we can't do the bar and grill, but at least I got to put my business over here. I feel like that's and if we're okay with that, if we're okay with the risk of saying, sure, we'll let you bring your business here, but that's not what's on paper either. That's not on the economic development. We, and I say we because he's gone, we are now becoming his brain. Maybe he'll do this instead. Maybe we can sway him to change your mind and just, he's not here to say, no, guys, this is most important. I want this. So if we call for the vote right now, we're probably going to be split. Then what happens?
Doesn't pass.
So before we can keep on beating the horse to death. Before we call for a vote, we talk about pre-voting.
We can call for a vote, get a second, we can go into discussion. If that's what been moved by Councilman Zant, to approve
the economic development plan and sell the land 5.15 acres west of town.
for the amount of 1750 an acre.
Yes.
I have a second,
I'll second it.
been seconded by Councilwoman Hartke. Discussion. Do we want to add stipulations? We would like to amend that motion to include some stipulations. That's a question.
Dwayne, I'm sorry, Dwayne's not here. It's a hard question. This is an executive session. This has become executive session. It's open, but
Right.
the man needs to be here to say what he wants.
I think he did.
He just wants the land.
He wants the land and then said, never mind, babe, let's go. Jamie did that, Buddy did that. Here we are today. So if the vote is no, Chris, has this all been for naught?
Yes.
It's been an expensive learning curve.
part of the game of economic development.
Okay,
I would suggest we amend the motion and add some conditions and see if it can be negotiated before we throw it away, and it may end up being for naught. But that's what I would suggest, is some amendments to it that the council would live with if he came back with those amendments. Because if we got someone interested in moving a business here and potentially putting a lot of money in and providing a facility in Shoshoni, I hate to turn that away without a second run at it. Am I disappointed that Dwayne Raymond left the way he did? Yes. But I think he's been frustrated by the time it takes the city to move
the
forward.
process.
He was in here once before, very upset. He was agitated by outside influence. He talked to me in private. He was definitely influenced with, and that's where he said someone's buying the land. Somebody else is buying the land. He did express that he was told that someone was looking at buying that land besides him. And he thought, I mean, people have put seeds in his mind that we're
Overcharge him on water.
yeah. He had someone come to him while him and his wife were eating dinner out of Missouri Valley, not the
Midville.
Midville.
Midvale store, having eaten there, and told him that the town of Shoshoni would do nothing but screw him on the, excuse my language, but do nothing but take advantage of him on the water bills, and we were outrageous and blah, 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 and made a point. Well, he asked me about that, and he said, you guys are gonna do this and this, and I was told, this, and that. I said, none of that is true. None of that is true. And he got bombarded by multiple people not saying nice things about Shoshone government. Not just me, but Shoshone government, the government body, and that the concerns that someone else is trying to buy the land, and those are just that's, I think that he's been frustrated on how long it took, but it took longer than we wanted, but we had no control basically over surveyors and appraisers, and it took a lot longer than we wanted, but it was what it was. That's all. We got to do everything by the book and legally. Like I said, I'm disappointed, but I'd like to try to see if this can be salvaged before we give up. That's the only thing I'm saying. But I think we need to put in some reasonable requests that he needs to do before we move forward.
So can we table the vote? Do we have to vote?
Public hearing.
That's a good
I'm
question.
not the attorney, but I'm pretty sure the public hearing we get one shot at.
Well, gosh, if the attorney's not here, who do we consult? I don't want to make the wrong decision.
We can re-advertise, I guess, in that regard, and hold a second public hearing on it.
Because if we vote it down,
But-
I mean, if we vote it down, we're gonna have half the town doing the same. It'll be the criticism, the governing body, blah, blah, blah. Someone came to town, and it'll end up on Facebook, and it'll just be this another fiasco. But nobody's here. Nobody's here.
If we approve it with amendments, stipulations of what we need to see, what we need to see, as starting points, he could start doing that or don't.
He's been here, he's been told this is for economic development, and he had to have an economic plan. So my question is, and nobody here can answer it, was that describe to him the requirements for economic development plan, a business plan? Was that given to him in writing, saying, this is what you need to have?
I don't think that there was ever any clarification from the council or to him on exactly what that would entail, what precisely what the council was wanting, other than just using the terminology of business plan. And so in his mind, his interpretation of that may be different than ours.
So as a council, well, that's a weakness that we have, that we need to go through and say, oh, those two lucky councilmen who are on the economic business committee can define what an economic plan requires, the minimum, you know, say, this is your finances, this is.
But
employment.
that committee is not designed for that.
But you're right.
But we have the committee,
But you have a committee and they can say, this is what we want to see in it.
and the council gets to say, thanks, but we're not
No.
interested in that.
Yeah, but he doesn't know what we wanted. And I said, you know, when I say business plan, I expect to see something in writing, some diagrams of where his building would be, number of employees, you know, his potential income, you know.
A
everything.
menu,
Yeah, or a traffic count. All those are possible things you can put in a business plan. And I was expecting at least something, you know, in that area. You know,
We can ask him for that.
so can we re-advertise, push the vote? There again, for 30 days, it's gonna take time. How about this? Let's stipulate our time frame. Dwayne, how long do you need? I'm sorry, Dwayne's not here. How much time does Dwayne need to put this stuff together that we will put in our amended motion? We want the following things in consideration of the sale of this price. 2 weeks, 4 weeks? 4 weeks come and go. He might give us the bird tomorrow and say, I'm done. I told you I walked out.
No, that's a reasonable.
But if we say,
That's reasonable.
we're now taking the time right now, putting this together, trying to salvage a deal. We don't have to. If you want to do these things, great. If you don't want to do these things, then you're not going to be
Yeah,
here in
I
2
think-
weeks or 4
I think
weeks.
4 weeks is, which should be more than sufficient. I think that's a reasonable.
I would think that he might not have everything, but he should be able to have something. It's been 6 months.
Agreed.
He's got a brain that's been working on this for a long time. What do you think?
I agree.
so is that a motion?
Do.
So when, hang on, when is our, because we go 3 weeks, don't we, for, when's the next council meeting?
Or 23rd of August? The next council meeting is the 13th. It's the first one, it's September, it's the 13th.
You want to do a special meeting? You want to do it as a council meeting?
Next.
I don't feel like by the 23rd is sufficient amount of time.
Now let's go with 8th to the 15th of September. 8th is exactly 4 weeks.
So we would do a special meeting on the 8th.
Would that give you time to advertise, Chris?
Yes.
Do we have to come with those stipulations tonight?
If we have stipulations,
Or I mean, order or requirements. We'll revisit this topic on September 8th in lieu of the following information being present.
so we want a business plan.
So we want to put this, so this is what's going into the
Yeah,
motion.
I was gonna say, we need to be specific on the business plan, because we have his business plan. I mean, we have that. That's that 5-page document that he had that when he
Yep.
first came. It just lays out what he pretty much stated and some financial numbers that he.
That was part of what he was frustrated. He thought he presented it and we had accepted it.
That's not. That's his business plan. Now, if that doesn't suffice, obviously, then he would have to come up with something else. What format are we looking at? What are we
So I agree. I feel like this is a start. Where's the documentation to support it? What's the traffic count? What's
But-
the square footage?
Problem is, we did accept it and we bid on, we voted to move this on to this point here for this price. I guess that's part of his frustrations.
Right.
I don't think at the end of the day, I don't think the price is some, I'm not hung up on the price. I think it's a screaming deal for what it is, but it is what it is. But I am hung up on, the financial assurance. I feel like that's legit. 9 out of 10 businesses fail. If he fails, do we get the ground back? Do we want the ground back?
You could say that it's approved and he has 5 years to have substantial construction on a business that he talked about. And if not, then we get the land back, or we could purchase it back and what we sold it for, or he can have a bond that gets returned to the town after 5 years, whatever that looks like, and move forward that way.
So I think inclusive of the business plan that's not listed there that we've learned tonight, it would be fair to ask estimated cost. I mean, sewers is a legit thing. So if it's,
I feel he didn't realize how much sewer he was gonna have to run. I think he thought we was gonna come down Herb's Lane with our sewer. See, I think he was talking about running it.
and not even that's the whole purpose of this hearing. Like I said, so you can
Right.
get upset, but at the end of the day, we didn't change it. We didn't take the engineered plan and say,
No,
actually, we're gonna go the other way 100%. Sorry.
no.
It's due diligence. I feel like we're coming down to, things are down to the due diligence side of stuff.
Mhm.
A little bit on our part. We've got some more to do. I feel like the group, we've asked good questions. I think that was productive.
Mhm.
So I guess back to the motion at hand is saying, what is fair to include? Is a bond fair to include? Is cost estimates fair to include? Is housing where you can put 35 feet on it? There again, because we're on the fence, we can either delete and say, let's call for the vote again and probably just throw it down the toilet. Or ask for what's fair to ask for. Because if we,
A bond within 3 years. He moves his business here and or has construction beginning, or the bond would revert to the town with the property. We get our money back and
are we doing this economic development on behalf of the construction company or on behalf of the bar and grill?
both.
So,
That's what he stated.
See, that's a change of plans, which then
yeah,
all of a sudden says his business plan has changed. And that was not in the original
Yeah.
document.
So in the original one, he talked about the bar and grill and additional businesses down the road. That he wasn't.
but we've heard
specific
EV
on.
stations down the road. We've heard putt-putt golf down the road.
A further expansion of
You're right.
that he did say that from the onset on why he needed so much acreage. So, you know, what he did say is that he would put his business here initially, and he would pursue and complete or begin construction on the barn grill. That's business was there temporarily until that got constructed, because he'd have all his equipment here that it'd be, makes sense to do so. He didn't say it was gonna be here permanently, but it would be relocating to Shoshoni for that time.
So then the time stipulation, so it would be fair.
So 3 years to have construction started or begun within 3 years, or and have a bond that would revert to the town. The property comes back to the town.
So he's offering 1 year.
He said it'd be,
He said he'd start construction within a year.
if you got, as soon as you got the money.
Yep.
I said 3, just throwing that number out there.
Right.
But
So,
being realistic here.
well, I'm in agreement with you. We're being realistic here. I feel like we're almost fighting against ourselves.
I think if he has 3 years to get something done, and if he doesn't get it done, we get the property back and
But he only
Our
wants
money
1
back
year.
and-
Is that right, Dwayne?
we move on. If he does follow through with what he said, and these are acceptable based on what his plans are, as far as vague as they are, but then it could be a boon and a benefit to the township.
But what he agreed to was 2 years. he said he'd start within a year. He said, I want to start right now. And I said, would it be fair if we gave you extra?
A
Gave
year
you
and then-
two?
And that's what I just did. I was
Function
like,
was
three.
Two.
I was,
Yeah, he said a year to start as soon as he got his money,
Yeah,
and then you'll be done by a second year.
yes. That was,
But which do we hold him to? The bar and grill or?
barn grill.
So
That's the
it's-
main purpose of his business. plan.
Well, so I'm gonna. Just feel like I think he's right. It's just changed. It's changed enough that here we are discussing stuff that if we would have had an executive session prior to this meeting, would we have discussed construction company down on that property? I don't believe that we would have. We didn't know about it.
I think that was more of an ad hoc thing, honestly. But I mean, not here to defend himself, but he was very specific about the barn grill.
All right, that's right.
Barn grill. So if he starts construction, as he said, in 2 years, whatever, if there's a condition that it reverts back to town, if he fails to follow on his end, and it comes back to the town and go back out, nothing. His time. He can't flip it, he can't sell it, deed locked. So he wouldn't be able to move on from it. And we'd get the property back if that was in the closing document. It's 2 years, 3
And
years,
puts up a minimum size building of 2,500 square foot.
some kind of
That's what he said.
meaningful
Yeah,
He said,
progress.
start the building within 1 year after you got the money. Barn will be 2,500 square feet at least. He would bring in his second business construction. He would install a lift station. And he would bring in, and that's what we're talking about right now. Is the fifth,
Right.
bringing in his plans, and this is what our conditions say, we will do this if you bring in the plans. Our conditions will you have to have within 2 years. Your building must be up and
Right.
operating. If not,
correct.
it reverts back to the town. So the question is, his building is up but not operating, but it's partially finished.
That's why I said substantial completion towards it being up and operating would be a better
Terminology.
terminology than. Because what if a construction delay happens and you
Can't
go-
say what if. I was just gonna do that.
I
The
know,
mayor hates what if.
I know, but in this case,
You're
I do.
right.
in reality, if we say 2 years hard stop, 2 years, you don't get it done, wherever it is, that's ours now.
Okay, things define substantial. And that's what we did the other day.
More than just a foundation. An actual furtherance of completion of the building. So you're actually putting up sticks, you're actually putting things together, kind of like Mike's house.
My barn?
Okay, so let's say it goes through, it has to have inspection for the foundation.
Mhm.
Inspection for the plumbing. Inspection for the electrical. Inspection for the roofing,
All takes time.
okay, inspection for the framing,
It's commercial, it'll have to state inspector for electrical.
okay, so you have to pass off 4 of the 5 inspections, or 4 of the 6 inspections.
I would, I guess what I was going at is that if he got the property, going to what ifs, say he has the property, he puts in $600,000 towards construction costs. I believe that that's a lot of money for him to walk away from, for him not to finish completing it. And so I think if we had 2 years, when I say substantial, meaningful, or some, more than
I agree. That's fair.
meaningful.
Dollar number is a fair. Any reasonable council can look at it and say, well, we see your receipts of 100,000 on your $1.5 million estimate. You're a long way
Basically, he now
away.
has skin in the game financially to complete that project, to recoup that cost, knowing that if he just didn't. So I think that would provide that protection for the town, but also incentivize.
2/3 of the estimated cost spent.
For in 2 years, that'd probably
That's,
be fair, I guess. I don't know.
I do have, I think you're,
I don't know a number, but I'm saying something like that, that here you go, do it. But it's not a blank check, so to speak, where you can just sit on it and nothing happened. and then you get to sell it 5 year, 10 years. There's something has to start happening on this property to further your plan of a bar and grill statement, amusement park, whatever he's gonna overall call it, but it's being progressing towards that within a certain time frame.
And he may, because of, interest rates and other things,
Piece by piece.
they may be part of, he may just have a bar and grill, and this other stuff may take several years down the road to develop.
And that's what I was meaning by like.
So I don't know what
Right.
the
Something-
construction of the building.
Not everything's all done in 2 years, locking him into something that's probably
Unrealistic.
unrealistic.
Landscaping, the slip and slide.
Yeah, but
Right.
this might be a 5 year project at all,
But-
or even 8 years, whatever. But if he has a foundation and a building built and he's furthering towards the goal of the bar and grill, I think within a certain time frame, that would show that it just gives him incentive to get it done.
Sure.
So what do you want in there? We talked about earlier stipulation of you brought up a first option to buy.
I think
That's skin in the game. We got skin in the game, and we got to wait 3 years to get something out of the deal.
and we would be able to buy it back for the purchase price. That's usually the way it works.
Mhm.
It's not at market value, not what improvements he's done to it. It's at the purchase price. Or the sale price for us.
So what if, I think you'll like this, what if? We're approving a bar and grill. What if 2 years down the road, you'll hit that point of the building process and it makes more sense to open up a CBD oil shop in it or something.
He's got to get a business license or something like that.
But I mean, the plan that we're approving is for a bar and grill. So the expectation is a bar and grill. And granted, you could have an itty bitty little bar and grill with your other stuff. But as far as if he's got a nice building and gosh, guys, things have just gone south and COVID happened again. And so I put my office, my concrete office into the bar and grill. Well, you have a really nice office that's supposed to be a bar and grill. And the agreement was bar and grill.
That's what he stated, but that would again be in the contract, but it'd still be up to the council to then enforce that. So the council.
We got to approve we got to approve a business license.
So I guess what I'm saying
So
is
the
that
council's
it's
got
in the
control.
contract, but when it comes to, and he's not meeting his, and he's doing exactly what you said, then the council would have to make a decision, okay, we're going to go ahead and let you do that. We're not going to enforce the
So
stipulation.
they might have grace at the time.
Or they might say, nope, that doesn't work. We're going to enforce this. But it still locks, it's still in the language that it would be,
It's to the stipulations he has to agree to.
Yeah.
Correct.
Doesn't like it, then
if he doesn't like it, then that's fine.
Sure.
But, he says he's going to build a bar and grill. Okay, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, for it to be construction has commenced and it's progressing towards the end game of it opening within whatever time frame. And if not, then at that mark, the town could buy back for what we sold it to you for. Whatever improvements you put on it, that you're out that money.
Well, still, he'd still own the building. Who would own the land?
Correct.
we'd have to remove the building within 60 days. Ugh.
Well, that's getting in the weeds a little bit, but it's a good point. But whatever improvements were made to it,
And we get to keep the lift station.
if it wasn't completed, like if he walked away and he built a foundation, he doesn't own the foundation. He would come back to the town. We'd inherit that foundation, have to deal with it.
So in essence, you'd have a time frame. If you're in default, you've got, you're foreclosed on, you, I guess, do whatever you want to do. If you want to take down your brick building or iron building, or
But if he's furthering building it and it's to fruition,
then it would make sense to go forward.
then he owns the property free and clear, and he fulfilled his obligations. This is property for economic development, and he wants to put in a grease monkey or something later on. Okay, so that's good business license. But he fulfilled his obligation.
Tammy, you haven't said anything
You guys are going at it, I'm letting you.
I'm talking way too much,
So
but
give me your thoughts, Tammy.
I just really think that the kid just, he got overwhelmed today. I really do. I mean, I think he needed to be more. I don't think he got all the information he really needed. You know, I think he thought he had already did most of it. And like I said, there is people that are sitting back there and running their jaw.
Mhm.
Because he's talked to me about it.
But you're always gonna have that.
I know.
I mean, when he
But-
starts building, they're gonna have people complain that it's,
Well, that's what I told him. That goes on over here.
I mean, on and on. Like, the man, he strikes me, man, really, really thick skin. Like he just, I feel like that's not a guy I'd want to argue with. He just.
I think he needed to eat a Snickers before he came here today. And I saw him in the parking lot, talked to him. I mean, he was, for lack of a better word, amped up before he came in. I'm not
Well,
defending anything. I'm just saying he was, whether it's being tired, overworked, overstressed, and feeling he's gotten to run around, not having the full clear picture of what he needed to do in his mind versus what was in the mind of the council and the expectations and all that coming together in one confluence at once and expectations manifested with walking out.
Go ahead, Tammy.
I know I use him in Riverton, and that's one thing, when you call him, he's in, he does the work, he does a wonderful job. We have used him numerous times. And I mean, he put that whole sewer line in through Woodward's all the way front and back. And he took up all that black asphalt and then relayed it.
I
So,
firmly
But
agree
he's
that
very, I mean,
You're right.
he calls, you call him, he's there. And I mean, he's one of the best to call.
A very hard
Mhm.
working man. And this is,
And his daughters work with him.
yep. This is a vision he has. He's working towards that. He's putting, basically everything he owns at risk at this project.
If he only owns $8,000, we got.
Oh, he owns a
Oh,
lot
no,
more
no,
than
he
that.
owns a lot more.
I say that sarcastically only because what we're seeing is he's got to write us a check for $8,000 or nine, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
That's what he's got to risk. The rest of the stuff, sure, that's on him. But as far as the initial,
Sure.
it's not $1 million signed the deal on the piece of ground. It's
But this is the first step he's got, because this is what the bank has told him he needs to get the property in his lot, and then they'll move forward with the rest of it. And that's what's held him up. They wouldn't loan him the money till he owned the property.
and he
And
said,
we've been working on months for that.
and what,
I'm sorry, Mike.
what if we go to this point, he goes to the bank and the bank says no? Are we misled as a council? I would say we're under the impression that we sell him the property, he runs back here with proof of finance from the bank.
That's where that stipulation and if it falls through, then we would.
We get the
we get
property
the Property
back.
back, he gets his money back. No muss, no fuss.
Right.
We're done.
So it's like, an unofficial bond? Or that's just a financial assurance?
Basically, he's not putting the money, but it's in the contract. It'd be a
Right.
sales contract.
This is sale for economic development. If he can't fulfill it, then
Oh, I mean, which part? The $9,000, he's gonna write a check for $9,000, no problem, but if he's asking for $1 million from the bank for a $1.5 million project, and the bank says, sorry, we're not gonna give you $1 million. I'm under the impression that he's got $1.5 million to put in the project. Are we misled by that? Do you think he has $1.5 million to put at it based on his conversation?
I think that's what he was applying with from the bank.
So-
His numbers, not that he has it sitting in the bank waiting plus the bank.
So is it fair for us to, on economic development, say, we will sell you this property contingent on a bank loan?
I think that the bank loan would go without saying that if he doesn't get the bank loan, he doesn't go forward with the progress of the property period, and we get the property back. It'd be more roundabout way of answering what you're saying is if he doesn't get the bank loan, then he ain't gonna be building anything. He's not gonna.
Unless, see, that's the part, the bar and grill can wait for 2 or 3 years. if the need is, I'm gonna move my business over here, level out the ground. That's what's changed it. It's
Right, but if he has it built in 3 years or starts building and it's constructed 2 years, whatever that term, does it matter if he loses the loan?
not
now, but he gets it?
necessarily.
As long as he's still completing what he said he would complete within that time frame. Whether it begins right now or it falls through interest rates and he waits a year, comes back when interest rates drop and he begins construction a year and a half from now, he completes it 2.5 years, whatever that time frame is. But it still gets done.
So we
I think
we need a timeline on because there's so much unknown.
3 years is a good number.
But I mean, as far as your timeline is start in 3 years.
No,
It'll start in a year.
no, start substantial or meaningful completion. Like
Within,
it's
2
good.
years.
Yeah.
He said 2 years, not 3.
so if we fast forward 1 year from now and we walk down the street before the council meeting and say, you got nothing here, man. Well, that's all right. You guys gave me 2 years, so I'm gonna hustle and
No, we're saying that you gotta start construction in a year. So we haven't went out till we get to find that, at least dig a foundation,
Yeah, and it's meaningful, like
moving
it
forward.
continues to move forward within 2 years,
Yeah.
not just build a foundation and walk.
Not
away
just-
for 2 years.
it's not just run your bulldozers to the brush and start stacking your equipment.
Exactly.
They're putting a shed.
You know, we could put a stipulation at some time, if we ever have sewer line down Herbst Road, that he'd be responsible to put a sewer line and lift station from his business to Herbst Lane.
Or just leave that he'd be responsible for connecting into it, where that
Right, yeah.
entails.
So
Right.
it gives him the option now. He can put it in a septic tank or he can
Right, correct.
run uphill 15 feet.
Yeah, I mean, because I think I don't know what gave him that idea, but he thought it was come down
No,
Herbst
because
Lane. We've never said
plans,
that.
they're a long cut across the property, the opposite way.
Yeah, so we're not doing that, but if that would also cover us if it gets there at some time, or there may be a time where we actually do have that there. And that would put the responsibility on him to do that whenever that is. You know what I mean? That'd be part of our, if we ever get it down Herbst Lane, which there's a possibility we could, it would be his responsibility, not the town's to provide that sewer line. I think that makes sense.
And I
Because
think-
he was on board with that, but I don't know when that would be. There's a chance it could be in the future.
Well, and I think with the development going that, as things begin in the next 2-3 years, starting that way, there'll be more things that open up with funding through WWC and different agencies to start getting those lines out there, just not today. But I think by having that time frame and some meaningful furtherance of the goal of the barn and grill within that time frame, and if not, then the town has options to recover that property and be responsible fiduciaries of the town public trust. At the same time, he has incentive to get it done, as he said he would do. I think both sides are covered without him being here right now, but I think that would furthers what he was talking about while protecting the town. And it'd be up to Marshall to put that fine print on there, what meaningful, really means in legalese.
Well, I think a foundation and the rocks would be important. I mean, like I said, if you're going for 2 businesses and the primary business is your bar and grill,
Not
you're
just
in-
with rocks.
you can put in your shack over there, but a foundation is that will take.
Yeah, I think so.
Something.
I think that's
permanent,
reasonable.
It's not just moving something around. I agree. We're digging a hole.
It's not the timber. We brought in a skid structure and we're just,
No,
the plan is 2,500 square feet. I've already got the building. I've got excavators. I've got concrete forms. I'm ready
Yes.
to move today. By all means, start digging.
yeah,
I think we got it.
agreed. Yeah, and as long as he starts that within a year, that gives him, he says he'll start a little sooner, that gives him plenty of time to develop that. And substantial completion within 2 years. So he said, that's what he said, that was good with that. And with that substantial, that gives us a little more leeway to at least
2.5 years.
give him
or
something, to finish
something comes
it up,
off or
yeah.
whatever.
Some.
I think
grades,
that's fair.
understandable.
I think he he honestly wants to do this, work hard. It just, said he got overwhelmed with this process. That, but we're required by law to do this process. Right. So what stipulations do we have that we want?
So we'll scratch the bond because that takes time and we'll go with the financial assurance. Is that fair?
Okay, that's one.
Substantial completion, 2/3 dollar amount.
I would just leave it vaguely from here and let Marshall fill in the gap with
Okay.
something to the fact of substantial completion, furtherance of final completion or some variation of
We
that,
can base it on dollar amount, we can base it on inspections.
Okay,
but not too constrictive.
Right.
sure.
I mean,
There again, we're talking foundation. We can look
Well,
over.
foundation, that's the start,
Okay,
within a year,
okay.
and with substantial completion within 2
Within 2
years,
years.
which that's at least walls, roof, everything up.
which I would define as furtherance of the goal of
Right,
completion. That way Marshall would have that
right,
to be able to articulate that
sure.
better than putting a
Mhm.
hard cap on something.
Right,
The tie into the sewer, he has option
we give him, yeah, if,
at his
at
cost.
his cost to run the sewer line sized by the municipality. We'll
Engineered.
If it's 8 inch or,
Engineered by that number.
yeah, engineered by the city. I like that word too, engineered by the city. So whether it's a 6 inch, 8 inch, or, if it's a lift station, it might be a 2 inch pressure line.
Right,
Depends where the lift station's at.
so that would be, yeah.
Right, that's all
To
on
connect
him.
it.
It's on,
We would engineer it, he would connect it.
Right,
Right, is that it?
right,
Okay.
to Herb's Lane.
and on the one hand, that there again, that keeps us, we're not the bad guys when we say, this is what you,
Right,
remember you agreed to this? I'm sorry, it cost you $1 million to put in a lift station, but
right, correct. It is a little more than just a pump in a manhole.
that's
I would
right.
say if he so chooses, because he did talk about
Right,
septic.
sure, right.
So-
There gives
Yeah,
a-
that's
if he
up to
wants
him.
The town's
sewer.
protected, but he's not being forced
No,
to do it.
correct.
How about the road? That came up. He can do whatever he wants on the road.
Well, the plan we had is an 80-foot width road. Town, we have the equipment to make a dirt road. And we could probably gravel it, but that's about it. I mean, that's all we can do. And then
So is it, do we treat it as a non-issue? I mean, for the meantime, you can start building, do whatever you want, run your heavy trucks over in the meantime and
Right now it's a 2-track.
yeah, right now, so we would have to do that anyway, but for the furtherance of the sale, to him, I don't think that's really relevant for that, because we'll,
because he's more than welcome to come to the town and say, I want an asphalt road out there. We
absolutely,
say, that's great. You can buy it.
Yeah.
I want gravel out there. Maybe we can help you out. And we're not under any obligation for the building or not building.
I mean, I guess if you wanted, if there's gonna be something in there on our side, that we would make a path that's 80-foot wide as per the engineering that was done by Apex. But I mean, beyond that, we don't have,
Is that whole road apex survey in, is that whole,
it
we
stops,
put an easement,
yep, and it stops at the end of that property,
okay,
is as far as they went
On the west end.
on the west end.
Okay.
So, yeah, it didn't go all the way. It was
Right.
just that to the end of this property. But I don't know if we need to put that, something like that in there.
How many trees does he need to plant?
Around here, as long as they're not evergreens.
So unrelated, just to lighten the mood, a friend of mine is doing a project in Utah. The city requires 400 trees, half being of a deciduous whatever, and half of the other X amount of height per,
That's what I'm talking about being overly restricted.
yep.
That is just crazy.
and it all at his expense. He was just telling because he was just blurting off blah blah blah, and I got to do 400 trees. Where'd that come from? He just
Tree City.
he's in an industrial park, and
Years ago, when I lived in Laramie, I wanted to cut down my own tree in my backyard. I had to get permission from the city because it's a tree sanctuary. And it doesn't matter if the tree's dead, doesn't matter if the tree is blocking your view, doesn't matter anything. City council has to approve you to remove a tree on your own property.
Can you limit? So this limit is over hazardous for electrical lines or.
Oh, yeah, you could prune it and
Prune,
and stuff like
yeah.
that. But as far as removal of the tree, nope. Don't matter if you own the property or not. They don't care. Doesn't matter if you want to put in, expansion in your house, you have to get permission from the council first. Which isn't always a bad thing.
So what else we have? Because I need to go home for cheesecake.
I
sit
think-
at dinner.
That's my dinner.
I think it was just beginning of the year, construction, and meaningful substantial completion within 2 years. He's
If it's not
responsible for
completed, it
this.
reverts to the town.
Yeah, if it's not completed, the town has the option to purchase it back at the sale
after
price.
sales price.
So on our list at this point, all we're asking from him, besides bobblehead, is documentation on financial assurance.
To provide documentation of finance at closing.
And I would also like to see a sketch.
I think that's fair. We're not asking to change the business plan. We are asking for a
When we ask for a building permit here in town, we'll say, where do
Yeah,
you
that's a
want
good
this building on this location on this land? That's all I'm asking for.
So
How far is it away from the highway? How far is it
how to
away?
do a building permit
okay,
as a
so
document.
at closing, provide proof of, like when you get a pre-approval at a bank, you're approved, pre-approved. It's not actually something like that at closing that the bank says, okay, we're gonna give you pre-approved that you'll get this. And then have his sketch of where the dimensions of where the building is gonna be.
What it's gonna, what is the building? Is it a teepee? Is it a brick building? Is it
Is it
metal?
metal building? Yeah,
Have the,
that's something.
Is it shingles? Is
It's
it
part of the-
drywall?
at closing, I think that would be, it'll be hard to do our meeting
I'd like to see that before
Because
closing.
I think this, what we're putting
or
together.
submitted before closing.
So if we held the meeting at the 8th, so these are our conditions. They're gonna, if you don't like them, then don't worry about it.
We wouldn't have to have another meeting on this unless. met.
So if he says, you know,
Then it'd
guys,
be
I'm
going
not
forward.
gonna
Yeah, if
do it.
Conditions aren't met. then-
But so when do we review?
Well, if you put, as you were saying, if you put in there the provide a detailed drawing or a drawing, a sketch or whatever of what the building is, where it's gonna be at, what's gonna be constructed of, very basic. And that has to be provided before closing for the council to review. If that's not done, that's not done.
So he could, so, all right, so if we went back to, we're gonna have a
You're
meeting.
not saying we're gonna debate on it, you just wanna see it.
Good question. I don't think we're gonna debate it. I don't think
You
there's
just
any.
want it provided so you're aware of what it is.
Sure, we're not gonna
Right.
debate his financial assurance. Because he brings financial assurance of $200,000, guys. I gave you what you wanted, financial assurance.
I'm going back to being specific because that's what got us in this position right now is what does he need to do? Having another meeting, I don't think is what we're talking here is not necessary.
Not necessary if these, so you're right. So
But what do you want? When do you want it? And for him to know exactly what you want it to entail. I just want a drawing. Here's your plan. All I want is your dimensions of the building, what's going to be constructed of. And that's all I want to know, just where it's going to be fixated at, what's it going to, you don't have to have a picture or an architecture drawing of it. I just want to know.
can
what
we
it's
use the
gonna be.
town's building permit as a template form? Can we just, that should simplify.
Sure, okay.
For the 5 plot, say, where's your septic tank could be if you have one?
But if we give him the, say, here's what we're looking for.
Right.
This will help you, Dwayne, so you don't show up and say, there's my building. No, we gave you, see on this form over here that says, what's the roof material, what's the foundation, what's the,
That's I
Yeah.
think that's, well, he didn't get a building permit anyway, now that I think about it,
Yeah, he has to.
so. But I mean, a preliminary
Yeah.
one, have that
Or
provided,
something.
have that provided before closing, as well as a letter or a statement from the bank that he can receive financing. Is that what you're wanting?
So now if you, when you talk about pre-approval of a loan, if you're gonna buy a house for 250,000, you don't have, the bank will give you a letter that says you're pre-approved for 250,000, is that right?
Right.
Basically, yeah.
So
Oh,
Dwayne, how
most
much
of that
approval do you need? So Dwayne's not here. Do we want financial assurance of $1.5 million? That's what he said over the pulpit.
That's for the whole project, so I don't know how much his bar and grill is actually gonna cost him. 'Cause he does have a building, he does have some other stuff that's already, he already owns, that's not gonna cost anything. I would just leave it as vaguely as, so whatever that number is, I would put a number behind it. I'd just say that he has that the bank is willing to finance the project. He's still gonna have to include
What's
the bar
that?
and grill within 2 years. That's already gonna be in there.
How vague does he get to be with the bank?
I don't know how much he needs to run for the bar and grill, but if we're saying that he's gonna have a bar and grill built in 2 years, just something, if he's saying he's gonna get a loan for it, some way of,
So it's finance, so if he comes back from a bank, I feel like there's, is it too vague on our part?
He
So
has investors too, though.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. So the financial assurance, I mean, a bank note is great, but if he's got an investor, angel or not, if Mickey Mouse is your investor, Mickey
So-
Mouse is gonna give me
so why
200,000.
even require it if we're saying that he has to have it built in 2 years and get the property back anyway? Because if he doesn't have that money to back it, he's not gonna get it built and get the property back. So it makes it null and void. See what I'm saying?
Does this go back to us as a committee for the town?
It goes back, the property reverts back to town.
No, sorry. I mean, when the public says, so did he have to, what questions did we ask him? What did we require? Did you guys ask for financial assurance for it? Well, we just figured he had 2 years.
So that's with economic development, what he provided is sufficient to the council or it's not. That's what we're still
That's
talking
what we're
about.
asking.
but What he's provided, what he said he's gonna do, that's all it's not, you don't have to get that far, and that's something maybe you personally would want, but as a council,
What do we
You-
require of a contractor that wants to come do a job here?
$25 building permit or business
Shit.
permit. That's it.
and a sketch of a plan.
Well, to do business is.
But I
just
mean,
the permit.
but a
of-
project, if company A is gonna come remodel town hall, what do we require? Maybe it's. What do we,
Depends on the building. I mean, if like Fastlane, they provided us with that.
uh-huh.
Tammy's gonna remodel her house. It's gonna be a brick drawing or a square drawing that says, I'm gonna put a roof here. Made of this.
That's what you get.
That's what you get. So it depends on the specific project. This one, I don't,
This one's under economic development. One's an entrepreneur on his own, one's a homeowner on her own. They both own the property, paid whatever they paid for it.
it just depends what you're comfortable accepting as far as what he's gonna do. He says he's gonna build a bar and grill. I imagine he did give some details. He's gonna have it intertwined with the rock formations.
I would ask for financial assurance of $500,000.
I would agree.
That is 1/3 of his budgetary estimate. We're not at, whether that's his investors, whether it's his bank, however he
Look at these
compiles
old-
it together.
Or the bank, okay. I think it's fair. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you gotta have some money to be able to do it or some.
Sure.
$500,000. I mean.
Right, because we're back to the bar and grill. If you're just gonna build your business over there, you probably only need 50,000 to level out your dirt and everything, but our economic plan is a bar and grill, and the number given was 1.5 million. So
So 2 years for, or begin construction within a year, 2 years for substantial completion or meaningful completion. And financial assurance of 500,000.
That's 500,000. That was a number he used in the past for the bar and grill at one time.
Okay.
At one time. So I think that's reasonable.
Do you want anything in there about permits from states on retaining ponds and
We don't need to get into that, Woods, I do not think.
I think that would revert back to our 2 years that if the state says you can't do this.
And it
then
won't
it's not-
change it.
Then it would.
He wants a bar and grill that does not require drainage, doesn't, I don't know if it affects this, that would be, it's a fair question. Does the property qualify to be built on?
So with economic development,
I mean, as far as the government side, is it in a floodplain? Is it habitat issues?
I could say we've had an economic study done when I was doing the senior housing stuff, and that one, there's no economic impact.
I mean, it
Not
wouldn't be
economic,
his,
sorry, environmental. I'm
Environmental.
sorry.
okay, that's.
You're right.
It wouldn't be his fault. Like I said, we went through this over at our yard, same thing, the things that came up, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I hope not. Floodplain was one of them. Sage grouse was one of them. Fish and Game did a study, DEQ did a study. I mean, but in the beginning, we just said, cool, let's do this.
And I guess that's what I was trying to say, getting too far in the weeds as far as limitations on economic development, having economic development from this part. What we're talking about is economic development after it's already, we're at the finish line. And then we're just now starting the plan of purchasing land, obviously, and that's a process down the road. That if he comes down to that and it's not gonna work, then we have right of first purchase, we get the land back.
Sure.
And the
it's basically a
change-
wash.
And it would
Nothing changes.
require, so if something like that were to happen, or if statement, I can't build a bar and grill because these unforeseen circumstances are not on my own part. Would you guys allow me to put in this because the government says I can do this, but I can't do that?
And then you,
That comes back to the
You have-
business license.
You have to come back.
Yep.
And request it, yeah.
or else, because this would be bar and grill. If you're gonna do something that deviates that.
Right,
That we get the land back unless you come to council and get some. of it.
this is for a bar and grill.
Or bar and grill.
So that's what I'm saying. It's very specific. That's why I was saying that those things I get what you're saying, but if they were to come to pass, it's already covered by having that.
Right.
See, should have just bought the property. If you bought the property, wouldn't worry about all this stuff.
Agreed.
True story.
Yeah, put it up for auction.
Put it up for auctions. Call Stetler. Hey man, put a restaurant over it. Why don't you call Dwayne and see if he wants to put a water park on your side of the road over there?
No,
So, any other stipulations?
Get all that, Kathy.
Sure. You also mentioned about his cost to run a sewer line or whatever engineered by the town to Herbst Lane. Do you want that in there also?
That would be in the title work.
that's part of, that's. part of
But
what we're
I
doing.
think we got to put it down for him
I do.
as far as,
We'll engineer it, you build it.
but I mean, as far as
Or sewer.
for him to, we're going to give him a list.
Mhm.
If you want to come back to the table where we've tried to specify the unforeseens and just so you know, these are some things that,
Sure. Well, another thing we need to be, honestly, this is the first one of them we've done.
sure.
I mean, it's a learning process for all of us. Correct? I mean, this is the first one we've done like this.
And I feel like, I would say to our credit, no one's gonna come back to the council and say, you guys didn't follow the rules. You didn't do your due diligence. You guys just pushed it through and
No,
And we push this through for 2 hours and 17 minutes.
yeah, but but that's been our goal all along to do it right. Not put up unnecessary roadblocks, but still do it
and not
right.
strong arm and not whatever else. we're doing.
No,
So
no.
You can't fault us for being up.
My,
front and-
yeah, and your third cousin twice removed on your mother's side is not in the weeds waiting to buy this,
That's right.
or my uncle, either one.
Mhm.
They were dating, though, I don't. No, little levity didn't hurt, I guess, but no, this is serious, but yeah, I think, what else do we need to put in there?
We would engineer the sewer, but he would
Right.
be responsible for connecting in, or he could do a septic.
Yeah,
Okay.
his choice.
Electricity, he's on that. That'd be his own deal.
Yeah.
That's- yep.
Yeah, same with gas.
Gas.
Same with gas. It's,
We'll allow him to hook into our city water.
Yes.
Getting pretty much everything you wanted.
Natural gas is on his side of the highway. He doesn't know that.
Right.
All I have to do is ask that question. It's
Right.
on his side.
Yes, it is.
It's only been 6 months. I got plans for big propane. Should have made big plans with, hey, Wyoming Gas, where does that line go?
Anything else?
Can I ask a question?
Please.
So no meeting on the 8th of September, that is scratch. I
Should
mean,
be.
don't get, you know,
So then when do we,
And how do we know he accepts this
We'll-
or rejects this?
We will get this. We'll have Marshall develop it. Well, I guess Marshall will probably contact his attorney. We'll find out who that is and go from there.
Okay. And if he comes back with a counter offer,
That goes to the council.
so,
And that we would have
We'll have
to
a
discuss
special
that.
meeting.
We'd have to discuss that in public.
so do we want, so our next meeting is on the 23rd, council meeting?
yes,
So.
Yep.
Can Marshall, can we be at a point at that meeting to where,
We should know by the 23rd whether this is gonna go forward or it's gonna. stop.
Well, yeah,
I guess is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, I'd agree.
so by the 23rd, so his little booklet of information, we should have received prior, even if it's on the 22nd, prior to the 23rd.
Well, we may not, but we should probably have an answer if he's working on it. I think we would give him 4 weeks to try to get,
Because we
The
have to
answer
set
to
a
us.
closing date, and that we were talking about is before closing, having that, not necessarily by the 23rd, it's by before closing, having him.
And since there's not a backup bidder, I guess we're not up against any time from it's
Right.
really his constraint. If we said, we'll do the deal. When you get this stuff, you come back to us. If it's next week, if it's 6 years from now, then we'll revisit as soon as you bring us your information that we've,
I think we'll have it next week.
Yeah.
Well, we still have to wait for closing, so, that's.
that's balls in his court.
Yeah.
Balls in his court then.
But we wouldn't go to closing until we got the information. I guess what the council's deciding.
Sure.
Well, we won't move to closing unless we have that information.
which is fine, because there again, so if it takes them an extra week or an extra month to fulfill the financial assurance,
Balls in his court.
no problem. I mean,
Yeah,
do your
okay,
due
yeah.
diligence,
We can't blame the council anymore. It's
Right.
all on him.
and the community can't accuse us of doing anything. So we were very liberal, I mean, very
We're
upfront
trying to promote economic development, but
and be
we've
fiscally
got to do it right.
responsible.
Yeah, be fair to everybody. It's, he is getting a very good deal on the land. But I think he is, but there's not a whole lot of, because of the rocks, there is probably limited things, the way the land lays that you can do with it.
And his
too.
vision he's got for it, they're getting.
Oh, that's a
eye
great
of the
idea.
beholder.
No, it's a great idea. I really,
So I have financial assurance, 500,000, Kathy. Substantial completion within 2 years. Foundation of the barn grill within 1. The sewer can be installed at his cost for an engineered plan done by the city.
right,
In the event of default, the land returns to the town for the purchase price of the original sell
Right.
price.
Okay.
We will require a drawing and a building permit.
Drawing with proposed material layout, a drawing.
So we'll have to modify that.
That's what you want.
Yeah, I would like to see, not what this building is gonna be made of. There could be a tin building as far as I care. But where it's located on the property. That's,
Where our
Where the
car
turnaround
is gonna turn around. That is probably
Some
fair.
kind of a layout
yeah,
Yes.
with basic, preliminary dimensions.
Preliminary layout.
Okay, preliminary design, layout and dimensions.
so
That's fair.
sure.
he could throw in his little skid structure for his office, for his other one, where that's gonna be, where he's gonna put his pipe yard, whatever he has.
Do we do we want to offer to share the cost of putting in a gravel road?
Shared cost is interesting. That would sit better with the town as far as if we have extra funds for roads and all of a sudden we're doing a road out there when we could take funding and do more for the masses, but.
Well, sure.
But Chris has also mentioned it at the, if we run the motor grader out there and clear the 80 feet. And we've done that part,
Sure.
No road.
Which,
but I can tell you there's one person that's over on Showbond Road that would have an awfully hard time with dropping gravel on a road. Whereas the other road
Sure.
hasn't had gravel ever. But the motor grader does run down that road. The motor grader does run down some of these
Sure.
other roads.
well, if you were hiring out the motor grader to do the work, that's quite a bit, and he may have the equipment to do it either, but that's.
Sure, but he's got dump trucks. He could bring in gravel. It wouldn't be a problem as far as he could
Yeah.
enhance his area where he needs it. If that's
Sure.
bentonite stuff over there, oh buddy's gonna.
Well, that was my point. If we provide the width of the road, for now, what we can do.
Sure, there's no favoritism. It's just we're helping him out. With our
I wish I
tools.
could wave a magic wand and have $5 million.
We don't.
We could do it, but I can't. I mean,
No,
But
right
a
now,
guy
I still
can-
gotta write grants right now, and you're talking about a road that I might write a grant for in 2 years. I probably will. Do it for whatever I can, but that's what we do.
I think that's
you
sufficient.
know,
So I
Yep.
make a motion, we accept these following amendments.
as discussed,
Yes.
have we missed anything?
I'll second it.
Been moved by Councilman Zant, second by Councilwoman Hartke, that we accept the amendments as presented.
So eloquent.
Huh?
I said so eloquently by Councilman Miller.
Yeah.
He wants cheesecake.
He's getting cheesecake. I still gotta get
Yeah.
dinner.
Wow, I'm going to your house.
Any further discussion?
So there's chocolate, there's the mousse, and there's chocolate, then there's raspberries.
Turn this thing off.
Raspberries from the garden.
I picked them this morning at 6 o'clock.
Want that in the motion?
Any further discussion? None being all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So, okay. Those in favor of the motion as amended, say aye. We just amended it, the motion, now we, aye. Those opposed? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Been moved by, hastily moved by Councilman Demick, frantically moved, second by Councilwoman Hartke. That the meeting be closed, all in favor say aye, if no further discussion. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed,
9:27.
9:27.